right, let's get into this, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone, and welcome to our Saturday live stream for week 11 of the 2022 fantasy football season. I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Of course, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to be answering as many questions as I possibly can for the sole purpose of helping you guys set your lineups and get you guys prepared for Sunday's matchups. Of course, there's a lot of information to go over. There's a lot of information in terms of, whether the Bills are going to make it on their flight to Detroit on time. Hopefully that's good to go. Everything should be great, hopefully, in terms of that game not being canceled because of the weather concerns. That'll be fantastic. Now, in terms of injuries, we'll, of course, dive deeper into that, talking about players like Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, and whether or not they're potentially going to be startable options in this given week based on, what we've seen from them at practice and as of late. But either way, the entire purpose of today's stream is, of course, answering your guys' questions. So if you have a question, be sure to type it in the chat. Include your scoring format, whether it is standard, half PPR, full PPR. If it's a trade question, let that be known right off the bat. If it's a dynasty question, that's also relevant. Any sort of information that you could provide me so that I can give you the best overall suggestion so they could be a little bit more successful than not. That's the entire hope. So again, thank you guys for joining us. If you have not yet already and you've already been just hanging out for a little while, be sure to click the like button. Definitely does help out a lot. About an hour into the stream today, we'll probably go over some entries via Prize Picks. If you guys haven't checked them out already, there's also a link down in the description. If you guys want to go ahead and check them out, make a first-time deposit, be sure to use promo code Andrew. Thank you very much. All right. So, let's see what we have here. I know there was a couple interesting... Oh, actually, you know what? I have to reset this because it is acting real weird. Let me see here. Because I know someone had sent in another question earlier before the stream began. I just don't want it to be lost. Okay, there it is. I found Justin's question. Okay, so we're going to start out with Justin's question first and foremost. Justin, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. Says, I'm 7-3 and I'm in first place right now with a full PPR scoring format. 6 points, full PPR, 6 points per passing touchdown, which I'm assuming that is what you meant, but I don't know. We have Gabriel Davis, Michael Pittman Jr., Donovan Peoples-Jones, Kadarius Toney, pick 2. All right, so if I'm picking 2 out of those group of... Yeah, if I'm picking 2 out of those group of 4 players at the wide receiver position, Kadarius Toney's number 1, and I'm probably rolling with Gabriel Davis number 2. So that's what I rotate with, Gabe and Toney. As for your follow-up here, pick 2, I have Kamara, Mixon, and Ramondre Stevenson going into this weekend. All right, at that point, I'm playing Mixon and I'm playing Ramondre. Those are the guys that I'd feel comfortable rolling with. And unfortunately, we're sitting Kamara in that capacity, but maybe if you have an open flex position, that would be the play there. Justin, thank you. Appreciate it. Ozzy Reyna says, thank you very much, first and foremost. Says, standard league, Pittman, Pacheco, or Duvernay. In a standard scoring format, I think it's a little bit safer just to roll with Pacheco there. Duvernay has upside. That is a given. I mean, his overall boom or bust nature with touchdowns is certainly there. I just don't know if this is going to be that week. So with that in so much of an uncertain current position, and with Michael Pittman Jr., yes, probably going to get himself a stable amount of targets, receptions, and receiving yards. Again, touchdown is the biggest question mark. I think I'm far more inclined in the standard scoring format to go after the player who I think honestly has the best matchup of the 3 and could make a biggest difference within his own team because of the lack of receiving help. They'll continue to run the ball against the Chargers and probably find a lot of success in doing so. So I'm going to go Pacheco there. Thank you. Trey Curb, 47, says, choose one. We have the Saints, Rams, or Giants defense going into this weekend. As of this moment, if I was to rank all 3 of them, I currently have the Saints ranked the highest amongst the bunch. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. I don't trust, the fact that there's no Cooper Kupp available in this offense to get the job done. I don't trust their running attack. Even though the New Orleans Saints, their biggest weakness this season has been stopping the run, I don't trust the ability for the Los Angeles Rams to run the ball effectively enough to make that a weakness for the Saints in this given matchup. So I'm going to play the Saints there. Thank you. Just Get It Done sends in a question, says, flex Mike Williams, Olave, Connor, or Pollard in a full PPR. Goodness. As much as I'd like to play some of those other wide receiver options, I think I'm just going to play Pollard there. I think there's a pretty stable factor of opportunity that is going to go in the direction of Pollard and his effectiveness. I mean, the guy's averaging, 6 yards per carry this season? Nearly over, I think it's close to 5 yards per carry after contact. It's a ridiculous number at this moment. I'm all in on Tony Pollard. There's no way of getting me off the train at this point. If anything, I'm the conductor of the train. Thank you. And then we had Colin Smith sending the question. Says Pacheco, Zeke, or Jacoby Myers in a half PPR scoring format. In a half PPR between those three, I'm probably inclined to play Jacoby Myers there against the Jets. Again, we've talked about it earlier this week in regards to the cornerback matchup with Michael Carter II as the slot cornerback of the New York Jets, being one of the best. Well, I would say he's probably top 6 in terms of the best cornerback to wide receiver matchups in which it benefits the wide receiver going into the week. So I'm all in on the idea of playing Jacoby Myers there in a game in which he obviously succeeded in a couple weeks back, and obviously he's the number one receiving threat out of that offense. So he'll continue to see that kind of level of opportunity, which is fantastic. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. Okay, let me go ahead before we get into a couple of the more extended chat questions via donation. I do appreciate you guys sending those in. I do want to pop the chat up on screen, answer a couple of those really quickly, and then we'll kind of rotate. I did see this question that actually made me laugh before anything started. He said, do I start Kyle Pitts or Gronkowski? Serious question. You know, as funny as that is, it is crazy that we've gotten to that position where Kyle Pitts is even, the fact that we can even doubt him within a given week, but it is what it is. Hopefully he turns it around. Obviously, you're playing Kyle Pitts. If you had someone else available, if you guys haven't checked out my Thursday video for tight end and quarterback rankings, if you don't have anybody else that's available that could be even potentially a startable option, maybe a Hayden Hurst because he was on bye last week, you may be able to pick him up and start him in his stead. Outside of that, unfortunately, you're going to have to just roll the dice on Kyle Pitts this weekend. Appreciate it. Thank you. Let me see some of these other questions here. Ayuk over Debo this week? Yes, I'm of the opinion that I'd rather play Ayuk over Debo, mainly because Ayuk has had 4 consecutive weeks of over 81 receiving yards. That level of consistency within this offense is relatively rare, especially considering the fact that we've seen so many offensive pieces have their boom weeks. It'll be Kittle one week, it'll be McCaffrey, it'll be Debo, it'll be Ayuk, but Ayuk as of late has been the consistent factor within this offense while everybody else is fluctuating in terms of their productivity. So I'm all in on the idea of Ayuk over Debo this week. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, love the content. PPR. Do I flex Sutton, Foreman, or Brian Robinson this week? Starting Montgomery as my RB2 over the other guys, which is perfectly fine. I approve the Montgomery play over the other two. As for who we're playing in a full PPR and the flex, okay, so let me think about this. I think the safest option, okay, because here's my thought process first and foremost. I think to myself, all right, what is Sutton capable of? 6 catches for 60 yards is a base minimum in my mind, with Jerry Jeudy most likely not being active this weekend. So if he's able to get himself in a full PPR, 12 fantasy points straight flat, the ability for Brian Robinson to match that number would either require, of course, a boatload of yards or 60 yards and a touchdown. Now, if we're already attributing a touchdown to his scoreline, how rare they are, and then we're going to add extra yardage on top of it, I honestly do think that if Sutton scores a touchdown, he probably outscores him, but we don't know if Sutton is capable of doing so. So at this point, we probably just lean in the direction of Brian Robinson because I truly do believe the matchup in itself is a little too advantageous for me to pass up on. So as much as I'd like to play Sutton there, the touchdown factor of that being the question mark, considering Houston's giving up, 1.33 rushing touchdowns per game to opposing running backs, it's just, that's an automatic in my mind. T. Higgins or A.J. Brown? Right now, it's T. Higgins. Thank you. Tony or Sutton? I'd play Tony. Greetings, salutations. What's up? How you doing? DJ Moore, Antonio Gibson, or Hollywood Brown? Again, this one is probably going to be Antonio Gibson, and I'll tell you why, Salvador. We don't know if Hollywood Brown is going to be active until Monday, right? Because he doesn't play until Monday Night Football. So with the ability of not knowing 100% whether he's going to play, that pretty much just pivots us in the direction of playing Antonio Gibson, because if he doesn't play, what is your alternative option? AJ Green on Monday night? That's not as enticing as just playing Antonio Gibson in a good matchup. Let's see here. Myers or Najee Harris? I play Myers. Keenan Allen, if he plays, I probably like to throw him out there as like in a full PPR, he's a wide receiver 2. In a half PPR, he's probably a higher end wide receiver 3, but that's pretty much the conversation that we're revolving in that kind of nature. It's tough to define what kind of value he has, considering we don't know what kind of level of participation he's going to have. He could be on a snap count, he could be on something of that nature. But assuming he's fully healthy and ready to go, yeah, I'd like to play him. Debo or Hollywood Brown? I'd play Debo there. Again, without knowing that Hollywood Brown is 100% ready to go as of this moment, unless there's some sort of news that has been made public, which I can absolutely look into just to confirm, just so we're not kind of like chasing our tail at this moment. Let's look up oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's do this. Marquise Hollywood Brown. Let's see if there's any information regarding him. All right, so he participated in Thursday's practice. Is there any other news after that? Let me look at his practice report. So officially from the Arizona Cardinals, his practice report claims that. Wait, where's Marquise? Oh, this is week. Wait, it is week 11. So what the heck? Kyler's on here. DeAndre Hopkins is on here. Wait, he's not even on the injury report. Maybe he's good to go. Interesting. Wait, why is he not even specified on this thing? Okay, so my assumption is, based on the fact that he's not even on the injury report, that means he's good to go. He's not even on it, even though he was limited on Thursday. He should be on it. Very interesting. I don't know. I got to look into that a little bit more. I'll probably have an answer for you guys by tomorrow morning, but that is something I haven't seen in quite some time in terms of a player coming off IR, not being mentioned, even though he was limited in participation and practice within the given week. He would technically, by law of the National Football League, have to be on the injury report. So I don't know if that's a mishap or somebody didn't log his limited practice, but that's interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Really quickly, let me get back to some of the donation questions that were sent in here. After Colin Smith, we had Just Sherman. Thank you very much. Just Sherman says, trade Pacheco for Tony, ? Half PPR, wide receiver needed. Yeah, I would do that. Absolutely. Bring in Tony again with McCall Hardman missing the next 4 weeks due to the injured reserve stint that he's going to be facing. It is going to grant a lot of opportunity towards Tony to not only, of course, immediately make an impact in this offense, but continue to build a rapport with Patrick Mahomes so that when we get to the fantasy playoffs, he can continue to be a stable option for us there. Chris Vasquez says, in a half PPR scoring format, pick one. Curtis Samuel, Adam Thielen, DeAndre Swift. I know Swift has been bad option. I want to hear your opinion. Yeah, here's my opinion about DeAndre Swift. So there's a couple narratives that I've been following in regards to what the heck we can anticipate from him. And I'm getting mixed signals, which is beginning to make me doubt myself. So to begin the week, we heard, okay, DeAndre Swift came out, called out the coaches, said he wants more touches, he wants more utilization within the offense, and that he's upset with the amount of workload that he's getting. All right, cool. That's great to hear. And then later in the week, we hear that in a talk with the media, DeAndre Swift also did mention that he's working through his injuries. So he is still injured, according to himself, and he's playing through it. Now that in my mind does not that doesn't sound right, considering the fact that he went and missed week 4, 5 to miss the bye in 6. Like, how many weeks did he miss? And he's still not fully healthy. It's crazy to me. So my assumption is that if he is not in a full healthy capacity, I mean, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. What's the third time count as, guys? Do we want to risk it for a third opportunity here? Because as much as I want to play him, especially in comparison to Curtis Samuel and Adam Thielen in a half PPR scoring format, I mean, it is really tough there, Chris. At this point, I'd probably risk it and play him over those two other options. But I have him relatively lower in my rankings, and you guys will see that by tomorrow morning. I have him lower than Jamal Williams. I'll tell you that much. Thank you. Colin Smith sent in another question. Says, in a full 14-team full PPR league, Landry, Njoku, or Hollywood Brown? Again, I think that answer is mainly going to be determined by Hollywood Brown's overall, I guess, availability this week. Let me scroll down the bottom, see if anybody said anything about Hollywood. Nope, nobody had anything. Okay, but we got to figure that out in regards to what the heck we're going to do with Hollywood, because at this moment, if we're not 100% certain as to what exactly Hollywood and his potential availability looks like, I wouldn't be able to trust it. But if he's ready to go, I'm automatically playing him over the Njoku and Landry play. So if I was to rank it in order, Hollywood, healthy, ready to go, is number 1. Njoku, number 2. Landry, number 3. Thank you, Colin. Mark sends in a question. Says, my fields, David Montgomery and Singletary for his Higgins, Swift, and Kirk. I have Burrow. I'm stacked at running back. Okay, I'm fine with that. I don't mind bringing in Higgins and Kirk, and then just the lottery of Swift for the future. That's fine by me. That's a good trade there, Mark. Thank you. Corey Olson says, what's your thoughts on Deshaun Watson when he returns? I mean, again, at this point, I probably wouldn't start him in the first week he comes back, even though he's playing up against Houston. I'd probably wait, watch, and let's see. Because again, if you are in a position where you have him on roster, you probably don't have a stud quarterback like Mahomes or Hurts or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields, Joe Burrow. You probably don't have one of those guys. And because of the lack of quarterback production you have there, you may also be in a position where you're still fighting to make the playoffs in week 13 and 14. So I don't know if I'm willing to 100% risk playing him against his former team in a matchup in which Nick Chubb should just be dominating the game outright by himself. So at this point, I mean, I'm fine with him in future weeks, like in 14, 15, 16, 17, if we can get some, confident production in the first couple weeks of his return. But again, it's a matter of him knocking off the dust rather than the rust. And once he does, at that point, we can talk about how much we can trust him in comparison to other quarterbacks who, of course, have been active the entire season for up until then, 13 consecutive games or, weeks. Let's see here. Benny G says, no question. Just wanted to tell you that you're GOAT. Thank you very much. Currently ranked number 9 overall in Australia. Man, you keep moving up in those Australia rankings like crazy, dude. Congratulations. I think you DM'd me the other day. Again, guys, if you guys DM me on Twitter, it's probably the worst place to message me because I don't really check my DMs often because it's flooded to a maximum capacity. So, I mean, I'll look for it, Benny. If you have any questions, I'll look out for you because, again, we're trying to claim that number 1 spot in Australia, okay? We're trying to do that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Corey Olson says, dig the pre-show jams. Thanks to all that you do. Thank you very much, Corey. Appreciate that. Again, I know many of you guys have asked what the song is that we play. The song's name is Double Helix. The artist of the song is I think it's Ethan Maxwell. So yeah, if you look those up, you could probably find him. This was a song that I originally, incorporated with the channel. I think the second year of doing YouTube, mainly because I needed an intro song and it sounded perfect. So it went with everything and I've been running with it since. Thank you. Let's see here. We had another question that came in here. All right, Verenis44 says, thoughts on Mark Andrews the rest of the season? I mean, again, if he's staying healthy, which he absolutely should be, he is another one of these, major top 2-3 tight ends that we want to have on roster. If you have him on roster, you pretty much never have to blink at tight end. You don't have to worry. Yes, if he's unhealthy, we're going to be in situations where it may be a little bit sketchy, but at least you'll be able to pick up Isaiah Likely as a handcuff in that regard, while other tight ends, like if Travis Kelce was to go down, could we pick up Noah Gray and undoubtedly start him? It's more difficult to potentially predict in that regard in comparison. So at this point, we're good to go with Mark Andrews. I don't have any questions regarding him. I'm rolling him out for the remainder of the year. Ryan Dominguez says, hey, should I hold on to and start Palmer in the late Sunday game as a flex or put in David Njoku if he plays? I'm just wondering if I'm just worried about whether or not Allen or Williams play. At this point, I'm assuming that both Allen and Williams will play. You could wait for it, but I think there's a little bit more risk than reward in that overall position. So I think at this point, I'm probably just rolling with David Njoku based on all that I've heard and the expectation of those 2 wide receivers, expected to play this week. Thank you. D Porter says, hi, Andrew. Going forward, do you think I should go with Geno Smith or Ryan Tannehill? Bad QB choices, I know, but all I have, okay. At this point, I don't think they're bad QB choices. I think Geno Smith is actually the guy that I'd probably prefer to go with rest of season, but I don't mind having Ryan Tannehill on roster. Now, when we specifically go and look at their upcoming schedule, I think the main factor or the main potential determining factor for you is going to be, let's see here. Where did my folder go? Or hold up. Here we go. So the main determining factor is probably going to be weeks 15 through 17, which is the fantasy playoffs. When we look at Tennessee, they take on Los Angeles, Houston, and Dallas. Again, decent matchups across the board, but we know Houston game, Los Angeles Chargers game, those will probably be heavy running attempt games with Derrick Henry pretty much leading the way in that regard. As for when we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on San Francisco, Kansas City, New York Jets, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Do I want to play? Yeah, you know what? I probably play Geno in those first 2 weeks. And then when we get to that New York Jets game and when we get to Tannehill versus the Dallas Cowboys, I'd probably pivot there in week 17. But at this point, Geno's getting the wide majority in my mind. All right. Thank you very much, there, Porter. Appreciate it. Jan says, lost Cooper Kupp in a full PPR scoring format. Trade Burrow and Freiermuth for Jalen Waddle, ? My other QBs are Herbert, Fields, and Deshaun Watson. Interesting. Trade Burrow and Freiermuth for Jalen Waddle. Yes, without a doubt in my mind. No questions asked. Let's get it done. My other tight end is also Schultz. Yeah, you're good to go. Make that trade. Thank you. Peter says, PPR, please pick 2. We have Mike Williams, Ayuk, Boyd. Thank you very much, sir. All right, cool. So at this point, under the assumption that Mike Williams is playing, which that is my assumption, I'm going to play Mike Williams, and I'm going to roll with Ayuk as the number 2 option there. So Mike Williams, Ayuk, sitting Boyd. Thank you. Jan says, trade Najee Harris for Isaiah Pacheco. Do we want to make that trade? I think based on the offenses that they're associated with, there's a chance that we could see more production out of Pacheco in that regard, but I think they're very similar in terms of value rest of the season. Neither of them are going to be like major touchdown upside players every single week. It depends on matchups. And quite frankly, yes, Pacheco has a significantly easier strength of schedule, especially when we get into the fantasy playoffs. We're talking about Houston in week 15, which is automatic. 16 is Seattle, which is another automatic. And then against Denver in 17. Denver's been pretty good in terms of stopping the run this season in specific matchups. So even if that's not a positive matchup, it's significantly better in my mind than having to roll with, I'm not even looking towards Najee Harris at this point, splitting snaps with Jaylen Warren, and of course, Mr. Kenny Pickett stealing touchdowns on the ground. So I don't mind the trade. I don't mind it. If it's a full PPR, I probably avoid it, and I just keep Najee Harris. If it's a half or standard, I probably go with Pacheco. Thank you. Chris sends in a question. Says, I need 1 wide receiver and 2 running backs. Okay, let's figure this out, shall we? From the following, we have Gabriel Davis, Curtis Samuel, Kenyon Drake, Tony Pollard, Gus Edwards. Okay, we have Brian Robinson and Cordero Patterson. Okay, so at this point, my 2 running backs that I'm playing this week are Cordero Patterson and following that up with Brian Robinson. Actually, no, what am I saying? There's Tony Pollard there. So Tony Pollard and Cordero Patterson are the 1 and 2 combo. As for the wide receiver, it's Gabe Davis. So Pollard, Gabe Davis, Cordero Patterson in a full PPR. Thank you. Trojan says, Sutton or Gabriel Davis in a standard format. I play Gabe Davis there. Already playing Dulcich. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm going to play Gabe Davis there regardless. Specifically because it's a standard format. If it's probably half or full PPR, I'd pivot the other way. Thank you. EC Livin says, pick 3, full PPR, Kadarius Toney, Deontay Johnson, Jacoby Myers, Rondale Moore. If I'm picking 3 of those options, it is Kadarius Toney, Jacoby Myers, and Rondale Moore. I'm benching Deontay Johnson there, EC Livin. Worried about the 20-mile-per-hour winds, freezing for Jacoby Myers. I mean, look, at this point, when I look at the NFL weather report, let's go ahead and venture off into the New England game, shall we? All right, so at this moment, it says it's going to be about 30. It says it's going to be 40 degrees there. It's going to feel like 30, and they do have 14-mile-per-hour winds predicted for tomorrow. Again, from my experience in terms of fantasy football, 14-mile-per-hour winds could make a difference if it was raining, but considering there's no sign of rain, typically when I have played wide receivers in the past in weather conditions as such, it has not been a bother. They've been fine and they've gotten the targets nonetheless. So I'm not too worried about the conditions. So I'm still playing Jacoby Myers there and I'm benching Deontay Johnson at the moment. Thank you. What is this? Okay, good to go. Matthew sends in a question. Says, full PPR, 12-team league. I have Mike Williams, Deebo Samuel, Gabe Mixon. We have Montgomery, Tony, Campbell, and Jamal Williams. Who do I start? How many positions can you start? If it's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 1 flex, we'll probably go with Mixon as the RB1, Montgomery as the RB2, and then we'll roll with Tony and Paris Campbell as the 1 and 2 wide receiver. And then as your flex, I'm probably rolling with Mike Williams. So Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Montgomery, Tony Campbell. Thank you. Mike Kelly says half PPR. Michael Carter, George Pickens, or DJ Moore in the flex. I'd go Michael Carter there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Jared says play Keenan Allen if he plays or Rondell. Play Keenan Allen if he plays. First question. Yes, if he plays, I'd like to get him in my lineup. Again, there are going to be better options than him in my rankings by tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be live streaming here on the channel, and I'll have rankings available in regards to where I see him kind of stacking up against some of these other wide receivers. And then your follow-up question there, Jared, is Rondale Moore over Curtis Samuel? Yes, absolutely. Even if Marquise Hollywood Brown is back, I still believe that Rondale Moore has innate value within this offense based on the fact that there's no longer a Zach Ertz vying for those targets. Mohammed Slim sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, I'm hoping you're doing well. Yeah, I am doing well. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hope you're doing well as well. Full PPR, do I trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for K9 straight up? Yeah, I mean, again, if you're in need of a running back, then yeah, you should, absolutely. My starting running backs are Kamara, Zeke, Pacheco. What else? Okay, that's it. And my wide receivers are Higgins, Olave, DPJ. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't mind it. But let's make that move. Because again, even though it technically does hurt you this week because you don't have the services of Kenneth Walker, if you're looking towards the playoffs because you're in a position to potentially make it, or you've already established a position to make the playoffs, then yeah, you could probably make that trade and prepare for weeks 15. But if in fact you're trying to still win this week because it's a must-win week, I think trading right now would be a mistake because, again, you're not going to have the services of Kenneth Walker considering Seattle is on bye. But again, that pretty much goes for anybody who's trading for players that are on Miami, Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, and or Seattle as of this current moment in time, guys. Again, if you're trading for one of those players and you're still in a position where you need to make the playoffs, it's going to be a tougher decision to make there. All right, let me scroll to the bottom of this chat. Let's answer some of your chat questions here. Starting from here. Okay, here we go. We're gonna go through this pretty quickly. So if you guys are listening, strap in and let's roll through this. Okay, Addy says Pacheco or Patterson as my RB2. I'm gonna go Patterson there, and then flex Tony or Mike Williams. Currently, I have Tony ahead of Mike Williams. Thank you. Kevin says pick 2 full PPR, Cooks, Pickens, or Pacheco. I'm playing Pickens and Pacheco. Thank you. Abdullah says, hey, Andrew, do I flex? Who do I flex out of Tony, Garrett Wilson, Pacheco, and A-Rob? I'm flexing Tony there. Next best option would be Garrett Wilson in a full PPR. Thank you. Crazy Taco says, full PPR, who do I flex? Sanders, Tony, or Allen? I'd like to play Tony there. Thank you. Sergio says, hey, Andrew, big dilemma. Do I start Garrett Wilson or Drake London flex? I play Garrett Wilson this week. Thank you. Chris Curry says 10-team half PPR league. Mike Williams, Terry McLaurin, who is the thumbnail for today. Tony, Hollywood Brown, pick 2. My opponent has Mahomes, and I have Herbert or Dak Prescott. Okay. As of this moment, if I'm starting, okay, so this question, in my opinion, Chris, is going to be determined by tomorrow morning because I still got to figure out what I want to do with Hollywood Brown. If I'm just excluding Hollywood Brown from this entire conversation, I am playing Terry McLaurin and I am playing Tony. So those would be the prime 1 and 2. Now, I've got to figure out by tomorrow morning whether or not Hollywood is in that conversation. We'll see. But those are the 2 as of right now. As for which quarterback I'm starting, again, assuming Mike Williams and Keenan Allen play, I'm playing Justin Herbert this week against the Chiefs, averaging about 3 passing touchdowns per game against them in the last 4 games that he's played. Silent Bandit says 12. Okay, start 2. Pierce, Montgomery, Sanders, start 3. Okay, so first question. Pierce and Montgomery is let me think about this. Hold up. Pierce against, no. I'm going to play Montgomery and Sanders. And then for your follow-up, start 3, Boyd, Sutton, St. Brown, and Wilson. I'm playing St. Brown, and then I'm playing Sutton. So Sutton and St. Brown there. Thank you, Silent. Let's see here. Mike Evans plus Higbee for Kelsey. Yes, give me Kelsey. Adolfo. Can play 3, Chubb, Singletary, Drake, Pierce. We're playing Chubb, Singletary, and Pierce. I don't know about Drake because, again, Gus Edwards is going to be active. So that's the sketchy factor there. Jesse says, full PPR trade question. Redraft league. Okay, cool. My running backs are Gus, Foreman, and White. Would you trade Kupp and White for Jeff Wilson Jr.? Yeah, I mean, at this point, I probably lean towards... Okay, here's my thought process. Under the assumption that Kupp doesn't come back, that is a great trade. But if Kupp returns in week 16, it could be a little bit of a sell low kind of situation. But I'm assuming, Jesse, you need to get Jeff Wilson on your roster in order to win future weeks. My only hope would be that you would bring in someone that could help you this week and going forward and wasn't on bye right now. But if that's the best potential player that you can get in return to try to kind of right the ship for your overall lineup going forward to try to potentially make the playoffs, then I'm okay with it. Because at least you'll get 3 weeks out of him, which he can help you. But again, I would probably look to try to get someone that is still active at this moment. But you never know. I don't know what people in your league are willing to trade for or with. Thank you. Let's see here. Rice Up says, I need a wide receiver 2 in a full PPR for the rest of the season. Who do I trade? Here's my current bench. We have Tony, Juju, Drake, London, Paris, Campbell. I mean, to be totally honest, do you need a wide receiver for the rest of the season? I mean, you've got Tony and Campbell, who in my mind, if they just keep doing what they're doing, there's no questions, that should ever be brought up in terms of what do we do in a wide receiver. Those guys could pretty much get the job done. Juju, prior to his concussion, was good to go. If you want to move and try to get a wide receiver, I want Amon-Ra St. Brown at all sort of costs. I'll even take T. Higgins. I'll even go after guys like Jamar Chase, even though they're injured right now, just to get some value for the future. Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? Josh Allen this week. Indoor stadium, good to go. Play 2, PPR, Debo, Campbell, or Tony. At this point, I'm sitting Debo. I'm playing Campbell and Tony. Choose one. Pickens, Michael Carter. Have 4 RB, 4 wide receiver already. I'm going to play Michael Carter there. Thank you, Michael Carter. Let's see here. Who's back? Who's the back to have in Baltimore? Drake or Edwards rest of season? It's probably Edwards rest of season. Gerald Everett or Cole Kmet this week? It's Cole Kmet. Schultz or Andrews if he plays? Yeah, I'm playing Andrews if he plays. Mooney or Gabe Davis? Gabe Davis. Thank you. Stevenson or Kamara? It's Stevenson. More or less upside due to the wind. Yeah, it's still going to be, well, technically, if you're talking about the wind playing a factor, which I don't think it's going to be a main factor, it doesn't bother me, especially when we're talking about a running back in specific. It's still Stevenson regardless because of the matchup on hand. And of course, the amount of volume and opportunity he's going to get. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me hop back into the chat in terms of some of the questions that were sent in via donation. Let's see here. So after we did Mohammed Slim's question, we had Joanne Lopez says, New York Giants or New Orleans Saints defense. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, I have the New Orleans Saints defense just slightly ahead of the New York Giants. I don't trust Matthew Stafford. I don't trust that offense to be able to score on a consistent basis, much less get first downs on a consistent enough basis. So I'm playing New Orleans. Thank you. Bradley Harris says, in a full PPR 12-team league, I need 2 running backs to 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, and a tight end. My current running backs are McCaffrey, Foreman, Pacheco, Warren, Mitchell. Wide receivers are that. Okay. So of the available here, let's see what we want to play here. 2 running backs. McCaffrey's the first and foremost. Between Foreman and Pacheco, who am I rolling with? Good question. I'm probably thinking it's still Foreman there. As for the follow-up there at wide receiver, we need only one of them. It would then be, if it's Pittman, Pickens, and Tony, I'm playing Tony there. As for tight end, you're automatically playing Mark Andrews. There's no question about that. And then as for your singular flex, in a full PPR, am I playing Kmet? I think I'm playing Kmet there as your flex. No joke. No, it's between Kmet and Pittman. It's just a matter of, do I want to roll with the tight end there going up against Atlanta? I think I do. I think I'm going to play Kmet there. Like, not even joking. I think I'd play Kmet there in the flex, play Andrews at tight end 1. Again, Foreman and McCaffrey, and then roll with Tony at wide receiver. Thank you. Crypt Keeper says, Montgomery or Antonio Gibson this week. I'm going to go Montgomery there. Again, full rate of opportunity in the backfield in a great matchup. As for your follow-up, Sutton, Tony, or Gabriel Davis. Sutton, Tony, Gabriel Davis. I have it currently ranked as Tony at number 1 amongst the 3. So that's where I'm rolling. Thank you. Ichigo says, DPJ or Sutton this week? Hard to keep trusting Sutton in a PPR. I mean, last week he had himself a little bit of an uptick of opportunity. And we know it's a pretty advantageous matchup against the Raiders. So I'm perfectly fine trusting him. If you don't want to, and you'd rather just take the 10 to 12 points that DPJ grants you, by all means, go for that, and you're good to go. Benny G says, I did DM you. I'll try to limit the questions in the live chat when I can get... Okay, appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that, Benny. Thank you. Corey Olson says, I accidentally dropped Jamal Williams last night. Meant to drop Jawan Johnson at tight end. Was in my flex spot. I was so upset. Well, to be honest, Corey, if I was the commissioner of your league and you accidentally dropped Jamal Williams and 2 seconds later you came to me and you said, hey, Andrew, I dropped Jamal Williams, I would immediately put the player on your roster again. I mean, I don't understand why you dropping him accidentally should ruin your entire season. The commissioner of your league should understand, oh, okay, he didn't mean to drop Jamal Williams. Why would he want to drop Jamal Williams in any sort of capacity? So they would put it back on your team. Like, I don't understand this, like, no holds barred. You make one mistake, your season's over kind of thing. I'm not about that. That doesn't kind of promote fun in my eyes. So it's just, yeah, I'm not really about that. I would have put the player back on your team. That's unfortunate, Corey. Jayon says, in a bye week hell here. Yeah, I mean, listen, the fact of the matter is there's so many talented wide receivers missing this week, which is, what is it? Evans, Godwin, Tyreek, Waddle, Lockett, Kirk, DK Metcalf. Like, the volume of, and then we have, Cooper Kupp gone. The volume of receivers that are missing this week is unbelievable. For your question, Jayon, you said, let's see here, was going to play Palmer and Campbell this week, but dropping Palmer, would you rather play Slayton, Pickens, Collins, or MVS this week in a half PPR scoring format? I'm probably more, you know what? I'm actually curious here. Let me look at the Houston Texans situation here with Brandon Cooks, because that's in my eyes the determining factor as to what I want to do with Nico Collins, because I am considering him as a play. Let's see here. Where's Brandon Cooks on this list? Week 11. Let's filter. Okay, week 11. Is Brandon Cooks even on this list anymore? Brandon Cooks, full participation on Thursday and Friday. So there's not even a... It would be a little bit sketchy to play Nico Collins there at that point. So at this current moment in time, Jayon, I'm going to play Paris Campbell and George Pickens there. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, there was a question that was sent in earlier, and it didn't have a dono attached to it. It was from Herman. Herman, let me go ahead and address that right now. So let me go into the chat real quick, and then we'll answer some chat questions, and then we'll come back. Herman, let's see here. Vasquez, where are we at? In a 12-team standard league, I dropped Dylan for Kadarius Toney. Okay, that's fine. I dropped Jameson Williams for Elijah Mitchell. Okay, that's fine as well. Was that a bad move, giving up Jameson Williams? Should I drop Mooney, James Robinson, or Elijah Mitchell to get Jameson Williams back? If you're in need of a wide receiver and you're willing to, if you're going to need wide receiver in the next couple weeks, when I mean the next couple weeks, I legitimately mean week 13, maybe 14, 15, 16, and beyond. Sure, you can go ahead and pick him up, but again, there's no guarantee that the rookie wide receiver coming off the ACL immediately makes an impact, right? So I think having the depth that you have on your roster, especially if you're still trying to claim a roster or a playoff spot, prior to week 15, I think it's fine keeping the guys that you have on roster because you can easily play them and pivot if an injury is to occur. So I'm not too worried about the decisions you made. Dylan is a perfect drop because, again, he's only a handcuff, and if you're still trying to make the playoffs, he doesn't have as much upside as a guy like Elijah Mitchell in terms of handcuff potential. So I'm fine with what you made there, Herman. Thank you. All right, let me see here. Bottom of the chat. Missing DK, Kirk, and Kupp this week. Yeah, Joshua, join the club. You and me both, man. There's one of my teams there that literally has those three players, and I'm forfeiting the week. I literally do not have enough wide receiver depth to be able to actually contest the victory. Like, I'm trying to remember, who am I playing? I think I'm playing Demarcus Robinson in that league as a wide receiver. Like, it is that bad. Like, it is tough that week. But yeah, it's rough. But hey, as long as you get into a position with those guys to get you to a winning spot, at this point I'm looking towards probably trading Kupp, but I don't know. We'll see. We got to see what the heck the Rams are capable of in the next couple weeks here. Boyd, Sutton, or Jamal? At this point, I think it's probably just playing Jamal there as the safest option in a half PPR, Carlos. Foreman or Mooney? It's probably Foreman in a half standard league. Full PPR, I'm considering Mooney, but again, it is as sketchy. You know what? I'd probably play Mooney in a full PPR. That would be the only thing that I would kind of pivot on. Hawkinson or Dalton Schultz? I prefer Dalton Schultz, Carlos. Thank you. Did the dome for Josh Allen change your thoughts on him over Fields? No, I think I'm still playing Fields. If you have both Josh Allen and Fields, my primary thing, Jared, would be to suggest that you go trade one of them right now. You don't need both. And if I was you, I'd probably sell Fields coming off of back-to-back 40-point performances. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to have one of those guys on my bench and then, you're not able to cash in on their potential on a given weekly basis. So I do trust Josh Allen rest of the season to be far more consistent quarterback. Again, Justin Fields could continue his reign of terror, which would obviously hurt, but still trading him for a top-tier player would be best case scenario. Says I lost my season, traded away Taylor and AJ Brown for Dameon Pierce, Cooper, Amari Cooper, and Pickens for keeper purposes. What do you think? I mean, in regards to the season, I don't know what your record is. I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. So it's really hard for me to tell you what your season, potential looks like. But obviously, yes, losing Taylor and AJ Brown certainly does hurt. Let me scroll back up here. Start 2, Mike Williams, Cortland Sutton, Kadarius Toney. It's probably going to be Kadarius Toney and Mike Williams at this point. Pick 1, Allen Robinson, Duvernay, or Mooney. I'm playing Mooney there. Currently 7-3, which, thanks for the vids, no problem. Which running backs should I trade away for these? Okay, so you have Etienne, Ramondre, and Chubb. Which RB should I trade away of these? Etienne, no, I wouldn't trade away any of them. And which wide receiver should I get? I wouldn't trade away any of those 3 running backs at all. I think they have a really great upside rest of the season. And if I can start all 3 of them every single week, 2 running backs and 1 flex, I would. Now, if you're in desperate need of a wide receiver, I would say that you're probably in a position where you would, I don't even want to trade one for a wide receiver unless I'm getting a top tier wide receiver, because I truly think that these guys are, considering how difficult it is to come by consistent running back talent, I would need top tier wide receiver help. I would ask in return for Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddles. That's what I want in return. Otherwise, I'm not interested. Do I start Justin Watson or Marquez Valdes-Scantling? I'd play Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I know Justin Watson could be an appealing option. It's just the lack of target opportunity is the biggest determining factor there. He could get more. He played a little bit more offensive snaps last week, but in its still entirety, it's not enough in my mind. Mike Williams, Boyd, Olave, Kadarius, Toney, Jacoby, Hollywood, start 2 full PPR. I think this is a question that we can 100% establish by tomorrow, because again, this is the biggest determining factor as to what am I doing. So we'll know by tomorrow morning as to what we're doing. I mean, as of this moment, I'm potentially just leaning towards Toney and Williams, but again, Hollywood Brown is that ace in the hole that we have to figure out. Michael Carter or Elijah Mitchell, drop 1. If I'm dropping 1, it's probably Elijah Mitchell. I prefer Michael Carter's fantasy playoff strength of schedule. 15, 16, 17. It's really advantageous for running backs for the Jets. Somebody asked again, TJ Hawkinson or Schultz. I'm playing Schultz there. Thank you. Okay, let me get to the chat. A couple more donations that were sent in really quickly. Let me go ahead and let's bring this down really quickly. All right. Faja Uno sends a question. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says, you trade Dak for Toney, ? Starting quarterback is Fields. My other wide receivers are Mike Williams, Waddle, Boyd, Paris Campbell. Would I trade him for Toney? Yeah, I don't mind that. Again, at this moment, going forward, just like thinking about your overall receiving core, Uno, in terms of what you're potentially going to play in coming weeks here. Waddle's going to be an automatic start in every single scenario. Boyd will eventually take a step back once Ja'Marr Chase returns into the lineup. Then it's a matter of, do we play Kadarius Toney with the absence of a bunch of these players, Mike Williams or Paris Campbell? And at that point, you're at a point where especially if you're playing in a 3 wide receiver starting league where you can start 3 wide receivers and a flex as a wide receiver, and it's full PPR, you're in a good spot there. But again, if it's a matter of me trusting Fields over Dak rest of the season, yes, by a significant margin, I do. Thank you. Jesus says, let me see here. Where is Jesus' question? Jesus says, waiver wire question. Should I pick up Lockett or Chase? Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean? Wait, hold on, wait. What? How about both? I have Burrow, Henry, JT. Okay, it's a smaller league. Kirk, Sutton, Pittman, Andrews. My bench is Wilson, Kamara, Patterson, Palmer, Schultz. Okay, so this is my suggestion. I would drop Palmer for Chase first and foremost. That's what I want. I want Chase rest of the season. Then I would subsequently also make another waiver pickup, assuming you have the number 1 waiver pickup in your given league. I would subsequently make another one just in case everyone is sleeping in your league, to where I would drop Schultz for Lockett at that point, because I mean, you don't really need, maybe even Sutton for Lockett. Yeah, I'd probably do that. I'd probably drop Sutton or Pittman for Lockett. Just keep Schultz just in case. But yes, I want Chase first and foremost. Drop Palmer. Thank you. Markel Adams says, Kadarius Toney or Pittman this week in a full PPR. I would play Kadarius Toney this week. Thank you. Jason says, should I be worried about Kittle versus Arizona when he isn't getting the ball and you... Wait, what do you mean he isn't getting the ball? Okay, listen, guys. We have to not be so hyperbolic in some of the statements that we make in regards to Kittle's not getting the ball. Okay, that's purely untrue. Just because last week he only saw 2 targets doesn't mean he hasn't been relevant in weeks past. I mean, just looking at his last 4 performances, okay, this last week, 2.6 fantasy points and a half PPR, 1 catch for 21 yards. Obviously brutal, but the 3 weeks prior, 11.4, 18.8, 12.3. 10 targets, 9 targets, 5 targets. The fact that you're saying he's not getting the ball is obviously incorrect, right? In this one given week against the Chargers, week 10, he didn't get the ball. But going forward, there's no concern about him at all in any sort of capacity. It's George Kittle. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. Yes, they're going to use him as a blocking threat. Over the course of his entire career, he has only ran routes on about 30% of the total plays that the that the 49ers have had passing plays. Like, he does not run that many routes. But when he does run routes, the target volume that he receives from Jimmy Garoppolo is at it's such a high rate that it separates him from the pack. Like, if you go back to last season, if I'm not mistaken, this is off the top of my head, he was typically being targeted like 31% of the time he was running a route. I don't know what it is right now this season. I'd have to probably go do some research in regards to that. But when he's running a route, the ball is typically going in his direction 30% of the time or more. So I have no problem with George Kittle. You shouldn't be so worried about one performance as of late. Let's see here. Dak or Murray at quarterback from Jason. At this point this week, I'm far more inclined to just play Dak Prescott because, again, Kyler Murray is questionable. He also does play on Monday night, so we don't know if the game time decision could hold him out. And then you'd have to be forced to play Colt McCoy, which honestly isn't a bad idea, but I do prefer to play Dak Prescott against Minnesota this week, so I would be playing Dak. Now, I understand why you're asking that question, Jason, because, again, you have Schultz as well on roster. At this point, if I'm you, Jason, I'd also be considering playing Schultz at your flex and just playing Kittle at Arizona, giving up 16-plus fantasy points per game and a half PPR to opposing tight ends, the best matchup in the given week. Last year when he took on Arizona, put up 17 fantasy points. I might play both those tight ends, to be honest. King sends in a question, says, hey, Andrew, in a PPR, which one of these do I start? Debo Boyd, Tony. At this point, I'm playing Tony this week. Thank you. Markel Adams says, Dulcich or Hurst this week in a full PPR? I'd play Hayden Hurst. Thank you. Patrick Roberts says, half PPR. Rest of season, RB3, drop Najee Harris or Kareem Hunt for Isaiah Pacheco or Elijah Mitchell. I would drop Kareem Hunt for Isaiah Pacheco. Yes, rest of season. Otherwise, I'm keeping Najee over Elijah Mitchell. I'm currently in 3rd place. I have Swift, Eckler, White. Thanks. Yeah, that's the only positional switch that I would make. Thank you. W Run says, half PPR, I'm 8-3, need a flex and a wide receiver 2. Deontay Johnson or Pickens for wide receiver 2 and Elijah Mitchell for flex, question mark. Okay, Deontay Johnson or Pickens at wide receiver 2. In a half PPR scoring format, let me think about this. Do I trust Deontay Johnson to... I'm actually curious. Let me see this real quick. What does the injury report look like for Cincinnati? Are they missing any cornerbacks from the weeks prior? Because I know Eli Apple has been missing the last couple weeks, so he could end up missing again here, which certainly would help. Okay, so Mike Hinton is back, so he's going to primarily be playing in the slot. So I don't really think he's going to bother anybody. Eli Apple was limited, only practiced on Friday with a calf injury. Could end up being a game time decision. Most likely will be out in that regard. So at that point, yeah, I'm probably still playing Deontay Johnson there. I'd roll Deontay. I know Pickens has more touchdown upside. So if you play Pickens, it won't bother me. It has actually no... Now that I'm thinking about it, just off touchdown upside alone, Pickens is probably the better play. I don't know, man. I have a hard time playing him with the target volume he gets at this current moment. But I guess considering how inaccurate Kenny Pickett is at the current moment in time, it's probably just smarter to play Pickens there. Yeah, just play George Pickens. And then are we flexing Elijah Moore in the flex in comparison to one of these other guys? San Francisco versus... they play against the Arizona Cardinals on Monday night. Do I play Elijah Mitchell there? Yeah, I'd play Elijah Mitchell there over Deontay Johnson. So yeah, let's go Pickens and Deontay. I mean, in Mitchell, excuse me. All right. Yeah, that was tough, man. I don't know. Deontay Johnson, he's such a wild card. I mean, the fact that I know he's not going to score a touchdown is just all that I need to really kind of determine to figure out what I want to do with him. Telugu sends in a question. Thank you, Telugu. Thank you. Davis, Sutton, Tony, Ayuk. Pick 2, half PPR. it's going to be Tony first and foremost, and I think I'm going to go Davis second there. Thank you. Nick sends in a question, says half PPR 12-team league, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs in this league at the flex. We have Mahomes, and then we have these wide receivers. Okay, so the wide receivers you have available to you, you're obviously starting Jefferson and St. Brown this week. As for the running backs you have available to you, I would play, at this point, I'm probably playing Swift and Jamal Williams, both as a tandem. I'd play, obviously, Mark Andrews at tight end. Gano and Philly defense, good to go. Any trade advice that you would roll with? The only idea that I have in terms of potential trades would be to move Rachaad White and Najee Harris to a potential team. If someone has Leonard Fournette and they're in panic mode and you can trade them Rachaad White, you could. Outside of that, moving Najee Harris and Rachaad White to try to claim another running back, at least just a little bit more of a consistent running back, like a Dante Foreman for future weeks or a Miles Sanders, I think that would be beneficial. But outside of that, I don't think you need to make any moves. I think you got a pretty solid team across the board. You just had some unlucky injuries that have kind of set you on a 5-5 path in terms of your record, which hopefully will improve going forward. Floodgate says, trade Adams and Kittle for Hill and Tony. I purely would need to know, Floodgate, what your tight end is. If I don't know what your tight end is on roster, I have a very difficult time telling you to trade away George Kittle in this capacity. So if you could do me a favor and type in the chat who your current starting tight end would be after the absence of Kittle, that would be appreciated. Thank you. Sebastian Alex says, flex 2, half PPR, Kieran Williams, Michael Gallup, Devin Duvernay, Jerick McKinnon. It's probably Devin Duvernay and Jerick McKinnon this week. Thank you. Jay Nice says, Singletary or Pacheco and why? I have Chubb starting, Debo, Ayuk, and Mark Andrews in a standard. If we're playing one of the two, so if they're going to move the game to Detroit, they're playing against Cleveland. Yeah, I'm going to play Devin Singletary there. It's a significantly better matchup going up against, well, actually, it's not significantly better. I think they're probably identical. It's just a matter of volume of potential touchdown upside. Based on the fact that Devin Singletary had 2 rushing touchdowns last week, that's the only determining factor as to why I want to potentially play him over Isaiah Pacheco. I think the touchdown upside is there. Unless Pacheco is going to break out a massive run for a touchdown, which the way that he was running last week probably doesn't lend to that idea unless, everyone's missing tackles for the Los Angeles Chargers. Wouldn't put it past them. Again, that's a pretty terrible run-stopping defense. I'm slightly ahead on Singletary just because they're more inclined to get him utilized down in the red zone. Otherwise, I see them as very similar productive weeks in terms of opportunities and rushing yardage. And honestly, Singletary will get significantly more receiving work in comparison, which obviously upside, kind of increases his upside, even though it's a standard. Actually, no, you said standard PPR. Yeah, it's a PPR. So yeah, we're definitely going Singletary there. Donovan Jordan says, Higbee or Conklin this week? I don't trust the Los Angeles Rams. I don't. Guys, I'm a Rams fan, and I can't trust them. I just can't. It is far too difficult for me to do so, considering how bad this offense is. On a normal basis, imagine when you extract Cooper Kupp out of this offense. This offensive line is terrible. I just don't trust it. So I'm probably playing Conklin there. And then as for your flex question, Debo, Cooper, or Pacheco this week, I probably lean towards playing. I'm going to probably play Amari Cooper there. Thank you. Just Sherman 4 says, trade Pacheco for Lazard or Pittman. I need a wide receiver. Yeah, I'd trade him for Michael Pittman. Thank you. DeJohnny sends in a question. Says PPR, play 3. Keenan Allen, Palmer, Debo, Ayuk, Campbell. If I'm playing 3, it's Campbell, Ayuk, and Keenan Allen. Thank you. Healing Meditation says James Conner or Sutton full PPR. I'm playing James Conner this week. Thank you. CK Rip says need 2 full PPR. Brian Robinson, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Gus the Bus Edwards, or Donovan Peoples-Jones. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably, let me think about this. If we play Brian Robinson, yeah. At this point, considering it's a full PPR, I'd probably go Brian Robinson and Chris Olave there. It's changed in comparison earlier in the week, but that's probably where I'm going. Andrew McGrady sends in a question, says Debo, Tony, DJ Moore, Pickens, start 3. Debo and Tony are automatics. As for the number 3, I would probably just take the risk on DJ Moore and hope that the PPR value could kind of upside him. Also have Hollywood Brown in the IR if he plays Monday. I'm hoping that Hollywood Brown will probably be your number 3 on that regard, Andrew, again, we don't 100% know whether or not he's going to play as of yet. Tomorrow morning, I'll have a far more clearer indication on the matter. Okay. Whew, a lot of questions, guys. I know we've been here answering at a quick rate in the last hour. I do appreciate you guys joining us as of today. We'll be here for the next hour, of course. If you guys have any questions, be sure to go ahead and type it down in the comment section, or not comment section, in the chat. My apologies. And if in fact you do send in a donation, I greatly appreciate it. Don't feel obligated to do so. It's just a matter of getting to your question in priority. We're going to be probably just answering a couple more questions here. Then I'm going to hop into a couple prize pick conversations, and then we'll be back to the questions later. Again, for those of you who are joining us, be sure to go ahead and click the like button down below. It certainly does help out the channel a lot. Do not forget that even if your question isn't answered today, because again, there's a lot of you and one of me, tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll have up-to-date rankings on screen for our top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. We'll also be mentioning tomorrow morning throughout that 2-hour live stream, top 10 defenses and kickers. So if you have any questions regarding that, be sure to come on by and get those questions set and those lineups ready to go for Sunday. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and pop the chat up really quickly. See what we have here. Alrighty, what does the chat have in store for Andrew? Okay, Sun says need flex half PPR Drake if Gus Edwards is out, or George Pickens. It would be Drake. If Gus Edwards is out, I'd play Drake 1,000%. Otherwise, it's the other way around. Andrew, all those over Debo? Yeah, I don't trust Debo right now. Until Debo can reestablish a level of trust from me, I truly do believe that the addition of Christian McCaffrey hurts Debo Samuel more than any other prospect in that offense. And it's apparent. I mean, the fact that they're still trying to get Debo utilized in the running game when you already have two established running backs like Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey leads me to believe that, if he's being utilized in those capacities, and then he's also not being the primary wide receiver that is catching the ball outside of the numbers and up the seam, it's difficult for me to expect him to get a higher target volume similar to the way that he got earlier this year. If you guys remember earlier this season, there was a streak where he was at 7, 8, 9, 10 on an increasing gradual rate on a weekly basis. His targets were going up. Since the injury, we've kind of seen, and as we expected, the numbers are going to decline. And unfortunately, if we continue to trend in that direction, it is going to be a tough one, especially when he takes on Arizona this week. They've got a pretty good secondary, which bothers me. All right, let's see here. What's up, Andrew? Full PPR flex spot. Do I start Pittman, Rondell Moore, Gus Edwards, Gerald Everett? So Gus Edwards and Gerald Everett don't even compete in a full PPR in this matter. I think as of right now, under the assumption, if in fact we get some sort of word that Marquise Hollywood-Brown doesn't play, then we play Rondell Moore. But as of right now, it's going to be Michael Pittman. I keep thinking of other names. Pick 2, full PPR, Montgomery, Scary Terry, Mike Williams, Amari Cooper. It's probably Montgomery and Scary Terry just to be safe. PPR, should I start Donovan Peoples-Jones or Palmer? Even if Allen and Williams play? No, I'd play Donovan Peoples-Jones. Should I start Gabe Davis or Antonio Gibson in a full PPR? I'd probably play Gabe Davis there. Hollywood or Gabe Davis? Again, that's probably going to be answered by tomorrow morning. We'll have an idea. Tony expectations. Again, there's a video right here. Right over here. I posted it yesterday. If you guys haven't checked it out, Kadarius Toney's on the thumbnail for a reason. That'll give you an idea as to why I'm so high on Kadarius Toney as right now, guys. Chauncey says, are you frozen? Nope. Deontay or Slayton in a full PPR scoring format? It's probably Deontay there. Boyd or Sutton? It's going to be Sutton this week. Pickens, London, Hollins, wide receiver 3. Hollins would only ever get this play if Davante Adams is out. That's the only way he would ever get this play. Otherwise, right now, it's probably playing London and then Pickens in front of him. Tony or Olave? I have Tony. Full PPR, Jonathan Taylor or Josh Jacobs? It's Jonathan Taylor, then Josh Jacobs. But you have to start them both. I don't care who else you have on roster. You have to start both these guys. Let's see here. What else do we have? Jamal Williams or Devonta Smith? I'd probably play Jamal Williams there. I think Devonta Smith has higher upside than usual because of the fact that they're without Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown is dealing with that calf injury or whatever. Is it an ankle injury? Is it a calf injury? I don't know what it is. I could probably check on the injury report. Let's see what they've designated it as. It looked like a hamstring injury to me when I saw it on Monday night, but obviously it looks like it's trending towards being something else. So if I just went to the Eagles actual official injury report. They don't even have it updated, man. They don't have a single player on it. They gotta figure their stuff out, man. That's not okay. DJ Moore, Foreman, or Montgomery. I'd play Foreman. I mean Montgomery there, excuse me. Connor or Kadarius Toney. I'd probably play Kadarius Toney there. Andrew, I have 2 spots. Who do I play? Full PPR, Sutton, Gabe Davis, Toney. I'd probably play these 2. Davis and Toney. Antonio Gibson, Pittman, Patterson, DJ Moore. It's probably Patterson out of the bunch. Russell Wilson or Jamal Williams this week in a full PPR? Haha. Good question. I'd probably play Russell Wilson, though. Kamara or Foreman? I'd play Kamara. Let's see here. Hey, Andrew, would you start in these positions? Dulcich or Komet? Komet. Dak or Kyler or Danny Dimes? I have Dak highest out of the bunch. Sanders or Singletary? I have Sanders. Again, guys, a lot of the questions y'all are asking will easily be answered by tomorrow morning. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, they'll be there, right? A lot of these in-position questions. I know some of the flex questions are a little bit, difficult to kind of navigate for you guys in terms of who to play because they are, there's a lot of close calls there. And I'm going to be wrong on some of them. That's a given, right? But in terms of the metrics that I take into account in order to determine the potential for success rate of a player and their projected fantasy points from my mind, if they don't produce on the amount of opportunities that they're given, I can't do anything about that. I can't go out there and play for them, right? We just got to trust that their skill and the opportunities that they're going to garner and the way that the game is, expected to potentially play out goes as such. Otherwise, we just keep it moving. DD says, I traded Justin Fields and Jerry Jeudy for Mike Evans and Jamal Williams. I have Lamar only. Okay, so, here's the only difference that I would say. I prefer Justin Fields probably over Lamar rest of the season. But again, if you can't garner this kind of level of potential without trading Justin Fields, I get it. At least this way, it kind of gives you a little bit of an upside. Did I win the trade? I guess time will tell. It really depends on whether or not Lamar can figure it out. Lamar hasn't been better than the number 10 overall quarterback since week 3. I'm hoping that this week he can probably break that trend and get back on track to being a higher upside guy. But in comparison, like I was mentioning on Thursday night during our live stream after the game, I do have Justin Fields as a better rest season quarterback in comparison. All right, let me go ahead. Let me bring this chat down. Let me go ahead and see what the heck kind of donations were sent in here. A couple more that were sent in. Duncan Kelly says, full PPR. Would you move Tyreek for A.J. Brown and Jacoby Myers? No, absolutely not. I would much rather have Tyreek Hill rest season. Thank you very much, Duncan. Appreciate it. Bug-Eye Buck Nasty says, if Gus Edwards is out, do I start Drake, Sanders, or Patterson? Good question, actually. If he's out, do I play Drake, Sanders, or Patterson? Probably in a position where I'm still playing one of the... Let me think about this. Carolina's defense, and then we have Atlanta taking on the Chicago Bears, which is a really good matchup in itself. And then we have... I'd probably play Patterson still. I'd probably go Patterson, and then Drake, and then Sanders. Thank you. Sim says, should I trade Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Robinson, and Elijah Mitchell for DeAndre Hopkins and David Montgomery? Yeah, I would. I don't mind that. Again, I do think that D-Hop and Amon-Ra have very similar value rest of the way. And I think Brian Robinson, just because of now the injury of Khalil Herbert popping up, Montgomery has a little bit more value than him in comparison as well. So I don't really care about the Elijah Mitchell. I think this is a 2-for-2. The extra sprinkle of Elijah Mitchell doesn't make a difference in my mind. So yeah, I don't mind the trade. Isaac Kim says, do I take Chase for Ramondre? It depends how stacked you are at running back and what your record is. If you can afford to give away Ramondre Stevenson and still have 2 to 3 solid running backs that you can rotate with for the remainder of the season, or at least you still have 2 to start that are past their bye weeks, you don't have to worry about it, and you're going to make the playoffs, I don't mind making that trade because I do believe in a full PPR. A full healthy Chase is a better overall play than Ramondre in a given week. The issue is primarily, are we going to get a full healthy Chase in return? Is he going to be at a maximum capacity once he returns from that labrum injury, that hip injury that has obviously kept him sidelined for the last, 4 weeks now? So at this point, very risky. You have to have a stable team of running backs, stable workhorse set of running backs that can carry you in the absence of Ramondre. Otherwise, I wouldn't be willing to do it. Markel Adams says, if Gus is out, should I start Elijah Mitchell, Van Jefferson, or Hollywood Brown if he's cleared? It would probably be Hollywood Brown, under the assumption that he's cleared. Again, we'll know that by tomorrow morning at a clearer rate. I'd do the research right now, but again, I think it would take me a little bit of time just to figure out everything and go to all the beat writers for Arizona to figure that out for myself. Smooth Criminal Entertainment says, trade deadline tonight. Okay, interesting. Again, I'd like to let everybody know that first and foremost, your trade deadline should never be prior to the fantasy playoffs. Okay? Your trade deadline should be week 14, not week 11. It is absolutely blasphemous that you guys play in leagues where you allow commissioners to do that to you guys. In no capacity should that be the case. Again, if you guys could veto that for future seasons, you should always have preset rules in terms of, hey, trade deadline doesn't happen until the final week of the season, regular season. Vetoes on trades do not exist unless we're in a position where it's collusion. And if someone drops something by accident off their bench and we can all determine that it was an accident, they should be automatically put back on their team. Like these are just like standard rules for every single league, especially when you're playing with the homies. Now, if you're playing in an Omega $10,000 buy-in league, I expect no mercy from those guys, right? But in this case, if you're just playing for fun, a couple $100 here and there, it really, yeah, you guys should be in a position where trade deadline should not be tonight. As for your question, though, Smooth Criminal said you have Mahomes, you have ETN, you have JK, you have Gus, you have Pacheco. Okay, so you're pretty much weak at running back, I would say. Wide receivers are Adams, St. Brown, Chase, Boyd, Pickens, and you have Moreau at tight end, I'm assuming. Yeah. Any ideas? Adams for Pierce and Cooper, or I mean, if you're going for a running back wide receiver duo, I don't mind it, mainly because you're in desperate need of a running back. If I was looking for another idea to trade for, I'd also be thinking if you can go get Deontay Foreman, in conjunction with another wide receiver, that'd be nice. Those are the kind of similar level running backs that I would kind of think about. Now, you could also be in a position where you're like, well, yeah, you need a wide receiver also in return. So yeah, if you can go get lower or running back kind of help, like RB2 kind of guys, for example, of course, Pierce, I'd say Cordero Patterson's in that conversation, Jeff Wilson Jr. is in that conversation, Dante Foreman's in that conversation going forward, along with a wide receiver like Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett, T. Higgins, guys like that. I'd be willing to make it a move there. Anonymous sends in a question, says, half PPR, I have Aaron Rodgers, I have JT, I have James Conner, Dante Foreman. We also have Jeff Wilson Jr., Deebo Samuel, Juju Smith-Schuster, Christian Watson, Devin Duvernay, Gallup, Mitchell. Which of these do I trade? Stay in. Okay, if you're going to move and try to get a quarterback, I think Aaron Rodgers may be in a position where hopefully he can be as consistent as he's been in the last couple weeks going forward. They do have a tough schedule, so it is going to be interesting to see what they kind of want to balance out with. If you're going to move a player for a quarterback in specific, I don't know if anybody's... Okay, this is my thought process. If I was you, I'd be trying to go get Justin Herbert right now as a buy low, mainly because there's no way you'd be able to give up value to get Josh, let me just give you guys an idea as to my top 7-8 quarterbacks, right? Rest of the season. Josh Allen, Mahomes, Justin Fields, going into Jalen Hurts, Burrow, and then we have Lamar, Tua, Justin Herbert. Now, if you can get any of those guys, Lamar, Tua, Justin Herbert, by giving away Aaron Rodgers and a player, I'd try it. But at this point, I don't want to move any of those running backs. Like JT, Connor, Foreman, Wilson, like that's a really strong stable of 4. If I was to give away one, I don't even want to give away one. No, I think those actually can be really... if I had to give away one and I could guarantee I was going to get a better quarterback than the primary last 3 that I mentioned, I'd give away Jeff Wilson. I'm okay with that. But outside of that, you're really thin at wide receiver, so you can't really make any moves there. So it'd have to be giving away like Jeff Wilson and a quarterback for a quarterback in return. Leo says PPR pick 2, Pollard, Foreman, Hollywood. Pollard is for sure, without a doubt in my mind, going to get the start. It's a matter of whether or not Hollywood is available. If Hollywood is available tomorrow and he's going to be playing, I would play him over Foreman. Thank you. Michael Barton says, what do you think about the lineup this week? We have Patrick Mahomes, we have Tony, we have Josh Jacobs, Campbell, Greg Dulcich, Lamb, Isaiah Pacheco. Why is it out of order? That's my only question, Michael. So basically, you have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Your running backs are Jacobs and Pacheco. Your wide receivers are Lamb and Tony, and your tight end is Greg Dulcich. Who is your flex? Paris Campbell. Okay, you're good to go. I mean, I think it's a great looking team in my mind. I mean, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. Okay, here's your question, Michael. Flex Paris Campbell or Gus Edwards? Is absolutely Paris Campbell, without a doubt in my mind. Thank you. Smooth Criminal says trade Adams and Pacheco for Walker in a PPR. Probably not. No. I mean, like at this point, I know you need running back depth. If I'm comparing Walker and Adams' overall potential value rest of the season, Adams has a significantly higher potential in my mind. I know that the Seattle Seahawks have a couple good games here, but they also have a couple tough ones coming up front. So unless you're trading Adams for top 5 running backs in return, like I'm thinking to myself, the running backs I would want in return for Davante Adams are guys like Eckler, McCaffrey, Henry, Taylor, Chubb, Etienne. That's who I want. Steven Drakes says half PPR, Andrew. Need 2. Gabriel Davis, Jacoby Myers, Ayuk, Pittman. Gabe Davis and probably man, that one's going to be tough. I've kind of moved around Ayuk and Myers back and forth as the week has progressed here. I know I have Gabe Davis ahead of them with the clean weather inside in Detroit. But as for Myers and Ayuk, I'd probably lean towards just playing Myers there. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So, do appreciate you guys coming out today, supporting the channel with your viewership. If I answer you guys' questions, that's great. Awesome. If I was able to answer your question via proxy of answering somebody else's question, perfect. Fantastic. We'd love to see it. But if I was not able to answer your question yet, do not forget that we will be here for the next, again, 47 minutes answering questions. So do not worry. Also, tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be here on the channel answering questions. We will have up-to-date rankings for all 4 primary positions on screen. We'll also be mentioning kickers and defenses tomorrow at a starting capacity. So if you're interested, be sure to come on by tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we'll have updated rankings. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. What's going on in the chat? We had a couple more questions that were sent in. Somebody, Ernesto in the chat was asking Jets defense or Commanders. I prefer the Jets this week. I like the Commanders, but the Jets are a little bit higher in my rankings at this moment. Allen Robinson or Donovan Peoples-Jones in the flex? That's a really interesting question. I think the stability of Donovan Peoples-Jones, in my mind, just has him over Allen Robinson. So I'm going to play him over Allen Robinson. Even though earlier this week I had Allen Robinson slightly ahead of him, I've lost confidence in that offense. I'm going to go a DPJ there. Commanders or Rams defense? I have the Commanders ahead of the Rams. Rylan, thank you. Let's see here. Okay, so there's a couple more questions that were sent in. Let me go ahead and address those. Mahmoud HK2 says, trade Kamara, Kittle. I have Schultz. DK for Etienne and Higgins, question mark. Kamara, Kittle, and DK for Etienne and Higgins, huh? I feel like we're giving up a lot there. Like, truth be told, I think you're giving up a bunch. I would want a third player in return. Now, oh man, that's tough. That is a, especially in a 12-team league, to be giving away that, I don't think it's worth it. I'd actually just feel far more inclined to give a 2 for 2. If they want to go Kamara and Kittle for Etienne and Higgins, or they want to go Kamara and DK for that, fine. But I'm not giving away all 3 of those prospects. I think that's too much for a 12-team league, especially when you're going to need depth in the future weeks. You're only 6-4. You're in a 12-team league. If only 6 teams out of the 12 are making the playoffs, you're going to, at very minimum, need 8 victories. So at that point, you're going to need to win far more. I mean, at very minimum, 8 games, maybe even 9 potentially. So at this point, Mahmoud, I don't know if I'm making that deal. I think I'd keep what you have. Terry Rice, what kind of receivers are we trading Rhamondre Stevenson for? Yeah, I think this is a through line into some of the thoughts that I've had in regards to these upper echelon running backs, right? If I'm going to trade away a Rhamondre Stevenson straight up, in terms of getting a wide receiver in return, I would absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, need to have a top tier wide receiver. So I would want Jalen Waddle. That's what I would want. If I'm getting anything less than that, it's got to be in the range of AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins. It has to be that level of player. Has to be. Because Rhamondre is far too consistent to be giving him up for guys like Tyler Lockett, or giving up for guys like Mike Evans, or Even Christian Kirk. I know Christian Kirk has played very well. I just don't trust it as much because of how much touchdown dependency he's had at times. So in comparison, I'd rather go with the other guys if available. But hey, Christian Kirk could be an option for probably a lesser running back. But for right now, Ramondre, I hold him at pretty high regard. So yeah, that's the idea. Ernesto sends in a question, says, trade Mixon for Christian McCaffrey. My league member is worried about low CMC usage. Yeah, I would trade that. Give me CMC rest of the season. Thank you. Bodie Derby, what's up? Hope you're doing well. Says, should I trade DK, Lenny, and White? Okay, DK, Lenny, White. For Aaron Jones, Kittle, and Burks. Yeah, why not? I would do that. Half PPR, I have Diggs, Higgins. Yeah, I'll take that trade. In my opinion, right? I believe that Aaron Jones has more value than Leonard Fournette and Rachaad White combined. So I already prefer Aaron Jones there. So if you're telling me if it's DK for Kittle and Burks, I'll take Kittle and Burks. Thank you. Rockout says PPR, 1 running back. 2 flex. We have Swift, Brian Robinson, Pacheco, Allen Robinson, Nico Collins, Jaylen Warren. At this current moment in a full PPR scoring format, Brian Robinson's the only 100% for sure player here. If I'm following that up, it's going Brian Robinson number 1, Pacheco number 2. I kind of want to play Swift at number 3. I just don't know if it's worth it at this point. I think it's very sketchy at the current moment. If I had to guess, most likely by the time we get to tomorrow morning, I will tell you to play DeAndre Swift because I'm willing to make the risk of that move. But I think maybe Nico Collins is the safer option of the 3 between him, Swift, and Allen Robinson. Thank you. Brenton7 says half PPR. I need 2 options here. We have Paris, Pickens, Pittman, Keenan, and Cooper. In a half PPR, I'm going to go Pittman, and I'm going to... Well, actually, do I want to start both Colts wide receivers? Probably not. Paris Campbell's for sure in my mind. Do I want to play Pittman as well, or do I want to roll with Keenan Allen in that regard? I'd probably play Keenan Allen and Paris Campbell. Thank you. Chan sends in a question, says, I have in a half PPR scoring format. I have Garrett Wilson, Kenny Pickett. Or sorry, you put Kenny Pickens. You put K Pickens. Maybe you meant G? G Pickens? Yeah, it's probably George Pickens, but it doesn't matter. So you have those 2 guys. Switch out Darius Slayton and Nico Collins in better matchups. No, I'd probably still play George Pickens and Garrett Wilson this week. As for defense, we have Washington versus Houston, Denver versus the Raiders, and then Foreman or Pacheco. Foreman over Pacheco, Washington over Houston, in comparison to playing Denver. So yeah, I play Washington defense. Thank you. Alrighty. Let's see here. Give me a second, guys. Okay, what do we have here? Let me see what's going on in the chat. Let's see. Who's better this week, Tony or Pacheco? It's Tony, for sure. Especially when we're talking about any sort of PPR format. Half, full, doesn't matter. Kadarius Toney or Garrett Wilson? It's going to be Kadarius Toney. Again, the updated rankings will be on screen tomorrow morning, so you'll have a visual representation. But yeah, for sure, I'm playing Toney there. Andrew, would you drop Cordero Patterson for Rachaad White? No, I wouldn't. If Leonard Fournette was out for the season, I would, but that's not the case. RR says PPR, rank best handcuff in order. Drake, Dion, Jackson, Dillon, Pirine, Spiller. The best handcuff rest of season? I mean, I'd probably venture to say it's most likely A.J. Dillon. Yeah, it's A.J. Dillon. Because he actually gets rushing attempts in this offense. If anything, it could even be Drake because of Gus Edwards potentially even missing this week. All right, let's see here. Muth or Higbee? I have Muth ahead of him. Brian Robinson or Cordero Patterson? I think I'm just slightly ahead with Cordero there. Montgomery or Gibson? I go Montgomery there. Should I start Higbee in the flex or Slayton? At that point, I'd play Higbee. Cooper or Pittman? I think I'm going to play Pittman there this week. Paul says, should I trade Dalvin Cook plus Burks for ETN and Devonta Smith? full PPR, looking for the playoff value. Yes, I would do that. I don't mind that at all. Again, it's purely off of the basis that ETN has an unbelievably advantageous strength of schedule from weeks 15 through 17. And because of the week 16 and 17 matchups in specific, I'm 100% willing to make that move. Let's see here. Brian Robinson or Cordero Patterson. Yeah, we already went over that. Pittman or Cooper, we went over that. Yep. Okay, a lot of these we just went over. So hopefully the delay that is on stream catches up and you'll be good to go, guys. Troy, we're going to get to your stuff in a question. Real G squared with a very interesting looking emoji. Let me go find Troy's question real quick. Is the chat on screen? No, it's not. Okay, so I'll do that in a moment. Let me find Troy's question. All right, Troy, where are you at, my man? Troy says, Andrew, would you pick up Justin Watson? No, I wouldn't. Also, would you drop Allen Robinson for Duvernay? I would drop Allen Robinson for Duvernay. I would. So yeah, that's the current position. Thank you. Let's see here. Let me scroll back to the bottom here. Diego says, pick 2 in a standard format. Brian Robinson, Tony, Ayuk, Pittman, Myers. At this point, Diego, I'm playing Robinson and Tony. Thank you. Lou, 8304, says, flex, half PPR, Elijah Mitchell, DJ Moore, DPJ, or pick up MVS off the waivers. I'd play DPJ there. I think he's a pretty solid 10 fantasy points, and I don't think we can anticipate just as much safety in the other options there, specifically. Amon-Ra St. Brown for Kenneth Walker. I'd make that trade. That's fine by me. Chat, Pittman or Cooper? You know my answer. Hopefully the chat can help you out as well. Pittman or MVS in a PPR? It's Pittman. Rondell Moore or Garrett Wilson? I have Rondell Moore ahead of Garrett Wilson here, Brendan. Thoughts on Keenan Allen? He said that he wouldn't come back unless he was 100%. Again, the whole thing about playing Keenan Allen, guys, here's the entire... all right, so here's the macro perspective of this entire Chargers game, okay? Considering it's the Sunday night game, by the time we're here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. answering questions, we will not 100% sure know if Keenan Allen is playing. So with that in mind, I will most likely be ranking him low enough to where he is not even a considerable option unless we're in a position where you can legitimately wait until going into Sunday night and then you have a pivoting option. What I mean by a pivoting option is because they play against they play against Kansas City, you could theoretically have Marquez Valdes-Scantling on roster, Joshua Palmer on roster, and you can roll with Keenan Allen until we get to that Sunday night game. And then if he goes ahead and plays, you go ahead and play him. If not, you pivot and you have some of those other receiving options, right? But that's the macro perspective. You have to be careful, and you're most likely even playing guys that are lesser than him if you don't have a pivoting position. You know what I mean? Joey says, CeeDee Lamb and Njoku for Andrews and Sanders. Who wins? I think in a vacuum purely, it's most likely to side with Andrews and Sanders. But again, I don't know what the rest of your teams look like. Isaiah Pacheco or Michael Gallup? Isaiah Pacheco, my man. Collins or Gus? PPR? Collins. Let's see here. Pacheco or Gus Edwards rest season? It's Pacheco. I just got here. Don't know his answer. LOL. Cooper or Pittman? I swear I thought I saw... Well, yeah, maybe you just got here, but somebody else that answered that or asked that question earlier. I have Pittman ahead of him. Thankfully, I have Mike Williams and Josh Palmer. Yeah, at that point, you can make that decision and you can, go into that Sunday night game with far more confidence. Standard League says Sergio, Paris Campbell, or Thielen. I'd still play Paris Campbell there. Thank you. Mike Williams or Gus Edwards? Yeah, we're still playing Mike Williams there. Mike Williams. Okay, cool. I have Mike Williams, Josh Palmer, and Hollywood. I got pivoting option. Yeah, you're good to go there then. Perfect. Look, in those scenarios, guys, it's perfect. But if you're in a scenario where you don't have anybody to pivot to, it becomes that much more difficult to make that decision. What does it say? Nick says Jerick McKinnon or Latavius Murray. I play Jerick McKinnon there. Nick, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Ashley Gomez sends a question in. Thank you very much. Says help half PPR with the lineup here. We have Josh Allen at quarterback. We have Adams, Rondell Moore at wide receiver. We have Dalvin Cook, Isaiah Pacheco at running back. We have Kmet at tight end. Keenan Allen in the flex along with Garrett Wilson. My bench currently consists of Darius Slayton, Elijah Mitchell, Gus Edwards, and Gerald Everett. I mean, there really isn't anything to change within this lineup as of this moment. Again, I think the only thing that you could theoretically pivot is if, in fact, you get to Sunday night and Keenan Allen is not active, you would then just play Gerald Everett in his position because you have Gerald Everett on your bench. You would play him in the flex spot there. So that would be the only change that you would make. Otherwise, I prefer everyone that you have in your lineups currently in comparison to what you could potentially have in your lineups going into this week. So you're good to go there, Ash. Thank you. For Loco sends in a question, says Pacheco or Pollard half PPR, full PPR. Guys, Pollard is in my top 12 rankings at running backs. Once again, I'm not stopping the train. Like I mentioned earlier, I am the conductor of the Tony Pollard train henceforth. Of the last 3 weeks, I've had him in my top 8 rankings in the last couple of games here. So I'm all in on Tony Pollard having another great week here, even with the return of Ezekiel Elliott. So yeah, for sure, Pollard there. As for your follow-up question, Njoku or Foster Moreau, the only reason I would ever play Foster Moreau this weekend is if, in fact, Devontae Adams is missing tomorrow morning and does not play. Otherwise, it's Njoku. Thank you. D. Nala sends in a question, says, trade Devontae for ETN. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Devontae Adams for ETN is perfectly fine. 10-team half PPR. Yep, sounds good to me. You have J-Jet, you have Devontae, you have Gabe Davis, you have Godwin, you have Barkley, Ramondre, Pacheco. Yeah, I'm fine with that trade. I do not mind it in any sort of capacity. Again, like I've mentioned to you guys, and I'll continue to preach this, the strength of schedule for the fantasy playoffs is one of the biggest determining factors as to whether or not you can end up pulling together a victory in those clutch weeks. And considering the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars specifically play up against Houston in week 17, the New York Jets in week 16, those are two games that I absolutely want to play my running back against. And the fact of the matter is, even in difficult matchups this season already, we have seen Travis Etienne strive. So in a half PPR, I'm willing to make that investment. Let's see here. A couple more questions. Let me see. Did G Squared have a question that was sent in? I know you sent in a little emoji, but I don't know if you had a question there, G Squared. No, nothing? Okay. Thank you very much, G Squared. I appreciate that nonetheless. All right, Bethany, let's see what you have here. Bethany, there wasn't a message attached to your dono. If you could do me a favor, type it in the chat. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Cardinals or Jets defense, says Otto. I'd play the Jets defense this weekend. Thank you. Davis or Peoples-Jones, I'd play Davis there, Luis. If you could get Mark Andrews for Aaron Jones, would you? Assuming you have a Cal Money 23, assuming you have running back depth, yes, I would. I think Mark Andrews has more upside value than Aaron Jones rest of the season. No question. Okay, got it. Thank you. Justin Fields for Joe Mixon. If you have another quarterback on roster, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll take that. Dropping Elijah Mitchell for Michael Carter. Yeah, I would do that. Dexter, I'll take Michael Carter. You think Foreman for Keenan Allen is risky? Yes, I do. In a full PPR, I could justify it, but even then, considering Foreman's rest of season schedule, guys, it is really difficult for me to sign off on that, considering the inherent risk of the entire scenario there. So yeah. Drop Hunt for active Gus. Yeah, I would do that. That's fine with me, assuming he's active, of course. Would you accept Eckler for Dalvin Cook and DK Metcalf? Yeah, I'll take the Eckler side of that trade. I don't know what exactly side you're talking about, but I'd rather have the Eckler side of that. Slayton or Cooper? I'd play Cooper this week, James. Let me see. Did Bethany send in anything? No? Okay. We're waiting for that. Otherwise, the next question that was sent in was from Rockout. Rockout says, would you trade Zay Jones or Allen Robinson for Deontay Johnson? I'd trade Zay Jones for it, but you don't have to. I think they're very similar valued players, in my mind at least. Terry Rice says, I got offered Godwin and Paris Campbell for Ramondre Stevenson. So someone wants to give you Godwin and Paris Campbell for Ramondre. Let me look at your team again, Terry, because your wide receivers. Okay, let's see here. You have Barkley, Etienne, Foreman, and Carter. You need wide receiver one. Best wide receiver you have are Ayuk and Gabe Davis. So the question is Gabe Davis and Ayuk worse than Paris Campbell and Godwin? And is it worth giving away Ramondre for it? I legitimately would rather have a stable wide receiver one option instead of getting two wide receivers that could be fluctuating values. I would much rather get that Waddle that I need on roster, or the AJ Brown, or the, something of that extent, rather than and go for that 2-for-1. I don't mind the 2-for-1 if you're desperate, but I don't think you're desperate. I think Gabe Davis and Ayuk can get the job done. Let's see here. Okay, nothing from Bethany yet. All right. So Couple questions. Victor says, I have Chubb and Jacobs. Trust Pollard or Jonathan Taylor this week? What? I don't even want to answer the question. Can I plead the fifth on that? I'm going to play Jonathan Taylor. Don't even get me wrong. I'm playing Jonathan Taylor this week. But the fact that we have to sit Pollard, it makes me sick to my stomach. But based on my rankings, yeah, I would do that. But Victor, I was about to slam the table. Why do we have a league where you have 3 of the best running backs in the National Football? How did this come to be, Victor? How? Watch Mine says Foreman or Brian Robinson at RB2. I'd go Brian Robinson there. Julio says trade Higgins for Tony and Muth. Trade Higgins for Tony and Muth, huh? Higgins for Tony and Muth. Depends how desperate you are at tight end. I don't know if Muth is really getting that job done like we would want them to. So I'm probably opting away from that technically. Let me check something, guys, real quick. What the heck is this? Okay, good to go. Let's see here. Fields QB1 rest season. No, I have him as my QB3 rest season behind Allen and Mahomes. Let's see. Isaiah Pacheco, Allen Robinson, or Garrett Wilson this week. Full PPR, it'd be Garrett Wilson. Brandon says he countered and he wants Fields and Dameon Pierce for Mixon. I'd give him the middle finger. Just drop the middle finger on his chest and be like, yo, just F off, man. Like, what do you want? You're trying to fleece my entire roster? Like, if people don't understand the value at which Fields presents on a weekly basis, it is absurd to try to ask for what that in return. That's BS. J. Cole says, you keep ignoring my question. Listen, guys, just because I'm looking at the chat does not mean I'm ignoring your question. There's literally hundreds of questions that are filtering over. I'm not ignoring questions. I even just looked at your question right now because it was literally in the middle of the screen because I answered somebody that was right above it, right? I'm not trying to ignore questions. You're acting like answering Najee or Pacheco or Gus Edwards is difficult for me. I'm going to tell you to play Pacheco this week. It's not a difficult question. I'm not ignoring it. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of right place, right time. Typically how it goes. So don't feel ignored, my man. Don't feel ignored. It's not the case. Let's see here. Diego says, Andrew, I have ETN, Henry, Eckler in a 12-man standard format. Okay. Trade away Foreman and Pollard. ETN, Henry. Yeah, you can. Absolutely. You can trade away Foreman and Pollard. If you're going to go after somebody, go after the best overall tight end, Kelsey, Andrews, or go after one of the better top tier wide receivers if you can. That's the upside that we would like to have. Damian Harris or Michael Carter this week? I'd rather play Michael Carter. Thank you. Cowboys, Washington, Broncos, or Saints defense this week. Currently, I have Washington, then Dallas, then Broncos, then Saints in that order. Thank you. Alrighty, let me see some of the other questions. Let me see. Bethany sent in anything? There we go. All right, says, hey, sorry. Okay, cool. Here we go, Bethany. Here we go. Half PPR. Question is for the flex. We have Elijah Mitchell, Drake, and Warren. Interesting. And in so first and foremost, under the assumption that we get into a position where Gus Edwards is not active this week, okay? So I don't know if that's going to be 100% guarantee in any sort of capacity, but we'll have a better idea probably by tomorrow morning as to what we're looking at in that regard. Currently, as for their current injury report, he was limited all week with the hamstring. So if at very best, they're going to split that backfield, which does give value to Drake. But if we're going to have a split backfield nonetheless, I'd probably just pivot to just playing Elijah Mitchell. But if by tomorrow morning we have a Gus Edwards inactive, Drake is the play. So I would probably lean toward just let's expect Drake to be the play in that current position as of right now because it's most likely that Gus Edwards is a limited capacity. Most likely doesn't go this week. As for your follow-up question, start Juwan Johnson, Hayden Hurst, or Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill has been very quiet in the last couple of weeks. I'm not really interested in playing him. As for Juwan Johnson, he's been extremely explosive in terms of the 4 touchdowns in the last 3 games that he's put up. Those are great numbers. The primary reason why I'm comfortable just rolling with Hayden Hurst is purely because of the matchup and the upside within it. I would love to rely upon the idea that Juwan Johnson could do it again and score another touchdown this week. I just don't think it's solid enough in my eyes to commit to that and trust it. Mainly because, yes, Juwan Johnson played well last week, but who did he play against? He played against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense have to take on Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst will have a great opportunity considering Pittsburgh last week, the tight ends against New Orleans, gave up 7 catches for 66 and a touchdown. The week prior to Dallas Goedert, 6 catches, 64. A couple weeks prior to that, gave up 52 receiving yards, 89 receiving yards to a singular tight end, 39, 5 catch. I mean, they've given up their fair share of points to opposing tight ends, and with Chase still out, I'm probably leaning in the direction of the safer play of Mr. Hayden Hurst there. As for the follow-up there, is there anything else? Let me see. Second place team in a 14-team league, by the way. I mean, congratulations. It is not easy to survive in a 14-team league. I'll tell you that from firsthand experience. My team is Burrow, Godwin, Sutton, Chubb, Eckler. My goodness. Chubb and Eckler, huh? No wonder. Hurst, Koo, and then we have New England's defense. I'm in second place. Who is my... Okay, so who to flex this week? Elijah Mitchell, Drake Moore. Yeah, so at this point, it's probably going to be Drake. So we'll probably leave it at that for now. It could change by tomorrow depending on whether or not Gus Edwards is active. But I'm assuming it's probably going to be Drake in that kind of capacity. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see here. We had another couple questions sent in. Let me see here. Let me check something real quick, guys. Because there's a couple things I got to check up on. Okay, that's fine. XD's 4325 says, start Swift or Tony in a standard league. I was talking about this earlier. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I don't know what it is, but I don't think I'm starting Swift in that capacity. That's a haiku / poem that I just wrote. You're welcome. Let's play Tony there. Dirtbag Forever says, full PPR. Flex Pollard, Jamal Williams, or Cooper. I'm playing Pollard this week. Thank you. Dorsey 5001 says, choose 2. Pittman, Tony, Olave. It's Tony and Pittman. Thank you. Luis Alcantar says, I got offered Lamar, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Mostert, giving up Jimmy G, D-Hop, and Cooks. Lamar, Amon-Ra, and Mostert. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Give me the Lamar side. That's great. I'll take it. My other wide receivers are Evans, Deontay. Yeah, let's take the Lamar side of that deal. Good to go. Awesome. That I don't even know why you're being offered that trade, but we'll take it. Corey Olson says, should I play 49ers defense or Cowboys? Vikings scare me. Yeah, the 49ers defense as of right now, let me just go over my defensive rankings that I had on Thursday just to confirm. So I had the 49ers defense. So this is how I currently have it, okay? It goes Patriots, Ravens. Why is this thing not working? It goes Wait, what the heck is it going? Patriots, Ravens, Jets, Bills, Eagles, 49ers. Then it's Washington. So those are my top 7 as of right now. I got to mess with the back end, right? The back end is some combination of Denver, the Saints, Washington, Dallas, Cincinnati, LA Rams, Cardinals, that combination. But as of top 7, again, it's New England, Baltimore, New York Jets, Buffalo, Philadelphia, San Francisco, Washington. Thank you. Let me see here. Real G Scared says LaShawn McCoy or Jamal Charles. To be totally honest, at this point, if I was to pick a favorite of the two, Jamal Charles was just crazy. Like, Jamal Charles was insane. The only difference is after Jamal Charles had that, season-ending injury, it was pretty much cooked for him. So, LaShawn McCoy is he's had the more longevity throughout his career, so he's probably the better of the two in terms of fantasy purposes, in terms of the history of fantasy sports. Let's see here. Gizmono Games says, hey, Andrew. How you doing, man? I'm doing well. Hope you guys are doing well as well. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Half PPR, Pacheco or Swift this week? Again, I think I'm playing Pacheco there. I have a very difficult time starting Swift in any sort of capacity. The primary reason is that the last couple weeks, we have been kind of playing back and forth with him, thinking, okay, The coaches said that he's going to play. We should start him. Oh, he got a full healthy capacity this week. We should start him. But now he came out and he even personally said that he's not fully healthy. And my concern is that they will not give him full reign of opportunity. And with that, makes it a sketchier play unless he just finds the end zone with his given touches. I mean, he hasn't had a rushing attempt of more than what, like 5 yards in the last couple games that he's played here. It's tough for me to trust that. I mean, last week he had 6 rushing attempts for 6 yards. Like, I don't know, man. It's too sketchy with Swift right now. I think I'm just going to pivot to the safer option. And then your follow-up question there, games was MVS or Slayton. I'd play MVS this week. Let's see here. CBZ. Let's see what you have here, CBZ. CBZ says, in a 12-team full PPR scoring format, Andrew, where's your question? I have Saquon, Taylor, and Sanders, and Wilson, and Elijah Mitchell at running back. Would you trade Sanders for Swift or Sanders for David Montgomery? I trade Sanders for Swift or Montgomery. I want to hope that Swift would be healthy for the fantasy playoffs. But considering I don't have a guarantee... man, am I taking the risk there? I think I'm willing to take the risk and hope that by week 15 he's okay. But I don't know, man. It's so sketchy. I think I just keep Sanders at this position. I think Sanders is just a solid keep just in case. Because if something is to happen, for example, right, where you have Taylor Sanders and Saquon Wilson. If, let's say, for example, one of your guys get injured, you need to have the depth of being able to move in someone as a flex option, right? And if Swift isn't healthy at the time in which you have him, it may not be beneficial to your team overall. So yeah, at this point, probably something that I'm not looking forward to. Do you like the 49ers or Bengals defense this week? Anthony, I have the 49ers ahead of the Bengals as of right now. Harrison Butker or Evan McPherson? I have Evan McPherson ahead of him. Let's see here. Best rest of season defense, Ravens. I think the Patriots are probably still up there with the Jets, but the Ravens are certainly up there, along with the Cowboys for rest of the season. Let's see here. Precision building, where are you at, my man? Is there anything that you typed in the chat? Not yet? Okay. Aiden sends in a question, says PPR, flex Montgomery or Amari Cooper this week. Love the videos. Thank you very much, Aiden. I appreciate that. I'm going to play Montgomery this week. Pollard, Sutton, Jamal Williams, Swift, pick 2. Moises, Correa. I'm going to play Pollard first and foremost for sure there. As for the second option, I think I'm probably going Jamal Williams there. Thank you. Pacheco or Patterson? I have Patterson ahead of him. Russell Wilson or Jimmy G? I'm playing Jimmy G this week. Dre plays. Okay. Patterson, Hollywood Brown, or Donovan Peoples-Jones? I'd probably play Patterson there because until we know for sure if Hollywood is playing, you might as well just not have the risk of having to pivot on Monday night. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the current mindset that I'm in. Let's see here. Are we starting Campbell or Patterson at the flex? I'm in a half PPR scoring format. Good question. I probably, let's see here. Where did I even have them on Thursday for Patreon? Patterson is here. Paris Campbell is, where's Paris Campbell? I have Paris Campbell ahead of him in a half PPR, probably even in a full, just for perspective reasons. Kadarius Toney or Michael Pittman Jr. Emmanuel, I'd play him in, yeah, I'd play Kadarius Toney there in a full PPR. Can you put rankings up on screen? Not right now, tomorrow morning. Because I don't even have the graphic available. I have to go make the graphic for tomorrow morning. So, yeah. Just arriving. Sorry if my question was redundant. No, you're good. You're fine. Does Kittle little usage concern you? I'm going to go on a rant right now. Kittle does not have a little usage. He'll be fine. Do not worry. It does not bother me. Cowboys defense or Saints defense this week? Josh, I probably just play with the safer Saints defense there. I think I'm going to move the Cowboys towards the bottom half of that conversation of the top 12 defenses this week. Dameon Pierce or Montgomery? I have Montgomery ahead of him, Landon. Okay, let's see here. Was there anybody's question that we were missing? Yes, precision building that we needed. Precision. Where are you at, my man? Precision? Nope, nothing. Okay. Appreciate it, though. Juan Jimenez says, what can I get for Foreman? I need a wide receiver or a tight end, full PPR. If you're going after a tight end, I mean, I feel like you could get Kittle. I truly do think. I think you could buy low on him. It's of course whether you want to make that move, right? Because you could theoretically go for wide receivers in the capacity of, let me think about this. If you're going to trade away Foreman, who's coming off of massive weeks, 100 yards in 3 out of his last 4, and his strength of schedule opens up at an even better rate. I mean, if it's me, I'm not selling him for anything less than Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins level kind of players. That's what I'm thinking. Swift or Allen Robinson? Michael, that's a really good question. I have no clue what I want to do between those two. I'd probably play Swift just because I despise the Rams right now, because as a Rams fan, they're pissing me off because McVay doesn't know how to call an offense. But that's sometimes when I talk about Rams, I have a bias in terms of hating them more than usual, because I am a Rams fan and I watch their games just a little bit more closely than other games. And that in itself just, man, I just can't stand the way that these guys play sometimes. Let's see here. A couple more donations that were sent in. Josh Campbell, thank you very much. We already took care of that one. JD says, I need one running back, one flex. We have Tony. We have Najee Harris, Brian Robinson, Cooks, Pacheco. As of this moment, the running back play would be Brian Robinson Jr. and the wide receiver flex play would be Kadarius Toney. Thank you. Where are we at here? AV Motorcar. Let's see here. AV Motorcar. AV, if you could do me a favor, send in your question because it wasn't attached to your donation. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Nicholas says New Orleans or Baltimore defense this week. I prefer the Baltimore defense this week. Special teams not included. Yeah, even without special teams. I think purely the Baltimore defense against Baker is a better matchup than New Orleans versus Stafford. Even though it's going to be a good game for New Orleans, but I truly do believe that the defense for Baltimore really makes it difficult for Carolina this week. Russell Wilson or Jamal Williams? I think I answered this before, Brian. I'm going to go Russell Wilson there. Thank you. Donovan Peoples-Jones or Curtis Samuel this week? Pixel, I'm going to play Donovan Peoples-Jones there. Thank you. TMNR, so yeah, whatever that is. Full PPR, Mike Williams, Olave, Jacob Myers, Ronald Moore, Marcus Hollywood Brown. I would probably say wait till tomorrow morning for that one because that is going to be the main determining factor whether or not we get an active Marquise Hollywood Brown there. Thank you. Let's see here. Montgomery or Pacheco? It is going to be Montgomery this week. Duvernay, Collins, or Palmer. If we're just playing them raw without knowing, Devin, whether or not we're going to get a position of Mike Williams or Keenan Allen not playing, Nico Collins is probably the highest ranked after. Yeah, and then after him is Duvernay, and then it's Palmer. But if, in fact, we get no Mike Williams or no Keenan Allen, then you'd play Palmer over the bunch. But we won't know until Sunday night. So as of right now, it's Nico Collins. Eagles or Patriots defense rest of the season? I probably prefer the Patriots defense rest of the way. Brian Lomax says, are you only answering donation questions? That's weak and greedy. As I'm literally reading the chat and answering your questions. Listen, Brian, if you want to be an asshole, you certainly can be, but I've been literally answering questions in the chat for the entirety of the stream. Yes, I answer questions that are sent in via donation because they literally gave me money, right? There's no way to disrespect someone like, hey, taking their money and not answering their question. Imagine doing that. So, Brian, listen, you want your questions answered? I'm here to help, but just don't be a prick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to help everyone. I've been answering questions in the chat all stream long. Literally, there's a reason why I even got to see your question, my man, because I've been reading the chat. We had CBZ. Did you comment on it, CBZ? Where is it? Where did it go? Okay, so we took care of that one, CBZ, and then where are we at? Where the heck? CBZ, where the heck did your question go, my man? No. Hey, guys. I don't want any of this, like, jumping on the bandwagon and starting, we don't have to get after him, okay? I took care of it. We don't have to, I don't like the dog pile, guys. I don't like the dog pile. We don't do that. If someone's going to be negative, I'll go after them. Don't worry. I don't mind cursing somebody out, But it's just a matter of the implication that he was mentioning of me being greedy. That is the That is the last thing that I am. The amount of free rankings I give out during the week, guys, in comparison to others, like just the implication. You know? Brian, listen, my guy. Great to see you. Hopefully, you know, you find out that, I don't even care. I'm just banning you. Good night. Have a good one. Go to somebody else's fucking channel. You're done. Like, we're not bullshitting here, okay? If you want to be an asshole, go for it, but do it somewhere else, man. It really just does not help this community in any sort of capacity. So fuck off, man. You chose violence. I brought it back, my man. That's just the fact of the matter. Precision says, I need one flex and one wide receiver. Half PPR, we have Foreman, Pacheco, Tony, and Campbell. Okay, so if we're playing in a full PPR scoring format, I think the wide receiver play is for sure going to be Tony there, and I'm actually considering playing Campbell in your flex. So you play both those guys, you're good to go there. Would love to start Tony and Pacheco. Yeah, look, the issue that I have with Pacheco is that he's purely based on rushing statistics alone. If he's not able to get the upside of that reception, which he probably won't, and or that touchdown, that is the issue. So I'm probably playing both wide receivers there. What do we have here? So we had AV. Where did AV go? AV, I'm still waiting for you to send in your question. CBZ? Yeah, CBZ. I looked your name up in the chat, but I didn't see it. Where did it go? There it is. 12 team. I lost Cup, and I have Waddle, McLaurin, Myers, JT Barkley, Kittle, Sanders, and Jeff Wilson. Would you package up to upgrade a wide receiver? And would you even try to upgrade? Okay, so at this point, considering you do have Waddle, McLaurin, Myers, JT Barkley, Kittle, Sanders, and Jeff Wilson, do I even want to make any moves with this team considering you lost Cup? I mean, unless you're going to move Cup, I think it's really difficult to make a pivot play here. Because you still have a lot of value at wide receiver that is startable, right? Like the consistency of Terry McLaurin in the last 4 weeks with Taylor Heineke has been really good to see. Waddle's obviously the must start there. There's not really a package you need to make theoretically there, BZ. It's just a matter of, do you want to move Sanders or Wilson to get a wide receiver? If you do, you can go after guys like, Tyler Lockett and just try to bring in extra value there at wide receiver theoretically. All right. Let me go ahead. Let's see what's going on in the chat here. Constantino says PPR Jamal Williams, Cordero Patterson, Dante Foreman, Najee Harris, Pacheco. At this point, it's Constantino. I'm leaning in the direction of probably going with Jamal Williams, Cordero Patterson as the 1-2 combo there. Yeah, that's probably the way to go. If I had to pick one or the other, it's probably just rolling with. Yeah, it's probably rolling in the direction of. Let me think here. If it's between Jamal Williams, it's probably Patterson than Jamal Williams. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Where are we at here? John says, where is the list? John, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll have up-to-date rankings on screen for all 4 primary positions. So we'll have top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, top 16 tight ends and quarterbacks available. We'll also be mentioning throughout the stream, like we do every Sunday morning, top 10 kickers and defenses. So the list will be there tomorrow morning. I haven't done the ranking because I haven't established the full rankings yet. So I got to go do a couple, pieces of information, research, all that kind of jazz, and then we'll be good to go. I appreciate it. Ando says, Lamar or Fields rest season? I prefer Fields rest this season. I know Lamar has an easier playoff schedule, but I still prefer Fields in that capacity. I could go either way, but I do prefer Fields. I mean, based on what he's been able to accomplish, I have a hard time thinking he's slowing down in terms of running the ball. It's going to be really tough for defenses to stop him from running at the capacity which he is. I mean, imagine if Lamar was running 10 to 12 times a game, how much upside he would have, but he's not, right? So it is basically Fields looks like the 2019 Lamar, which is crazy, but it is. Let me see here. Where the heck else? Okay, AV Motor says Palmer, George Pickens, Palmer or Cooper. Hurst or Moreau. Okay, so at this point, Moreau would only ever play over Hurst if, in fact, Devontae Adams is inactive. So that's the only reason I would ever pivot in that direction. As for Palmer, Pickens, Cooper, out of the 3 of those, I'm playing Amari Cooper there. Thank you. DJ Moore, Isaiah Pacheco, or Dalton Schultz. slim. I'm playing Dalton Schultz there, man. I think Dalton Schultz is probably the way to go in that regard. He's just far too consistent with Dak Prescott not to be in that position. Who were we looking at earlier? Let me see here. I had to move. Okay, awesome. We did precision, we got that. Okay, so let me go back up. So I'd moved down just to F function somebody's name. Montgomery or Tony full PPR. This one's tough, actually. I'm probably leaning towards Tony there, though. Kadarius, Tony, Sutton, Olave. It's Kadarius and then it's Sutton. What does it say, Alex? Hey, sorry if you answered this already. Could you go back and yeah, okay, let's look at what you got, Alex. Alex, you got to type in your question again. When I do the F3 function, because it was such a long time ago, I can't get back to it. So I know somebody else had said in the chat, hey, can you go back and look at the team that I posted? You'll have to type it again because it'll just go. All right, Devonta Smith or Palmer? Yeah, we're going to play Devonta Smith there. Lamar or Fields? Yeah, okay, this was the question that I left on. By the way, the name is, you have Andor, right? If you guys haven't seen the TV show Andor yet on Disney+, I'm telling you it's the best Star Wars I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan, but I can assure you it's one of the best series in terms of Star Wars I've ever seen. Like it is, whew, like it puts everything that Obi-Wan series is to shame. Like it really does. Kadarius, okay, we already did that. Start Brian Robinson or DJ Moore. Yeah, at this point, DJ, it's going to be Brian Robinson. I don't trust Baker Mayfield with DJ Moore now. He could have himself a great week, but I'll take the matchup, the opportunity, all of that encompassed within Brian Robinson at this current moment in time. Is Debo going to be is going to get back on track this week? The hope is that he does, but again, it's not a guarantee. Like I've talked about it in the last couple of weeks here, right? There's so many cooks in that kitchen of having McCaffrey, Mitchell, Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, and then Juwan Jennings comes out of nowhere and catches a couple passes. Ray McLeod will get himself some utilization here and there. There are so many guys that Jimmy G will throw the ball to and that he is not looking away from, that, you know, he's just looking for open options. So the hope is that Debo gets back on track, just not 100% a guarantee considering he plays against Mr. Arizona this week on Monday night in Mexico City, if I'm not mistaken. Pick one this week: Pittman, DPJ, Tony, Gabriel Davis, Marquise Hollywood-Brown. It's probably going to be Kadarius Toney over the bunch, regardless of whether or not Marquise Hollywood-Brown is active. So it's going to be Kadarius Toney. By the time we get to tomorrow morning, guys, he's going to be in my top 12 rankings. He'll probably be 12th, but he'll be there. That's why I'm ranking him above so many options. Montgomery or Tony full. Yeah, so this is why I'm probably leaning towards 20 in a full PPR. Now we've kind of gotten full circle there. There was a couple donations that were sent in. Don't worry, we're not ending the stream at exactly 3 o'clock, even though it has been the 2 hours. I'm going to still be here for the next probably 15 minutes answering questions. Corey Dillinger said, Mike Williams or Kadarius Toney. I'm probably playing Kadarius there. We have Hector Gonzalez says, Paris Campbell, Mooney, Foreman, or Sutton play 3. It would be Campbell, Foreman, and Sutton there. I'd bench Mooney, even though I like the matchup up against the Atlanta Falcons. I just think that the volatility within the offense in itself, being a run-first attack with some sprinkles of passing, but predominantly those sprinkles of passing going towards Cole Kmet. I mean, 5 out of the last 7 touchdown passes have gone to Kmet for this offense. It does lower the value and or upside of Darnell Mooney in that factor. Non-PPR, Foreman or Pierce. I probably, oh man, that's tough. I think I'm probably playing Pierce there. Let's see here. Jarvis or Donovan Peoples-Jones. I probably play Donovan Peoples-Jones, mainly purely off of the consistency factor and the fact that even though the Saints are taking on the Rams, they have a solid defense. Their defense is going to play well. And Andy Dalton, on the other hand, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. But okay, so we did the Brian Robinson question. We made, okay, let's see here. Start 2 out of 3, Tony, Ronald Moore, Paris Campbell. It's probably going to be Tony and Paris Campbell for me there, Jack Jarvis. So who was I talking to earlier that was saying, can you check out my team? It was Lee, right? Alex Lee. Alex, did you type it in the chat? There you go. Wait, where are you at? Here we go. All good. I was wondering what your thoughts were trading Burrow and DK for Amon-Ra. Burrow and DK for Amon-Ra. Picked up Fields and other wide receiver, Debo and Godwin. Okay. So at this point, Burrow and DK for Amon-Ra, St. Brown. You have Fields. I'm okay with it. Is it worth it overall? How much of a better play is Amon-Ra rest of the season in comparison? I think he's definitely a better play. It's just the margin of it in itself isn't high enough for me to think without a shadow of a doubt that it's a fantastic move. I'm okay with the move. If it's my team, I have Fields and I can back on the, or, I have the idea that, okay, I've Godwin and Debo as well, and I can back myself up with that regardless. I'm okay with this deal because I do think you make the improvement at wide receiver. It's not a significant enough improvement to where it's like, I'm celebrating jumping up and down, but I like the move. It helps. Are you doing World Cup FIFA? Probably not. No. If I watch any games, I'm probably just going to, I don't know. I'll probably just watch a couple highlights. I don't know if I'll have time to be able to watch games as a whole. I don't even know what time they're going to be at, right? Because it's in Qatar. So the timing is going to be a little bit busted. Andor series is epic proportions. Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous, man. It is, by definition, it's a slow show, but it's a slow burn with high suspense. And that's what the espionage factor of it is, it's new. It doesn't feel like Star Wars, and that's why it's good, I think. I have Dallas and Baltimore defense in a 12-team league. I'm holding on to Baltimore and playing them matchup every week. Yeah, you're good to go. Baltimore's a fantastic play going forward there, Diego. Should I play Tony or Montgomery? Yeah, we already talked about this. We're going to go with Tony there. If Debo's a good game this weekend, should I look to sell high potentially? You could. Again, it depends what a good week looks like for Debo Samuel, right? Debo Samuel hasn't been a top 20 wide receiver. Except, I think it was against the Rams the first time they played against them. So that was like week 4 or something like that. So he hasn't been a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy in like literally 90% of his games this season. So unfortunately, you might be able to sell him high. If you're able to get him, do it, because he's definitely not the Debo of last year. And that is a given. Are we starting Paris Campbell over Thielen, Curtis Samuel, and Allen Robinson? Absolutely, Jack. Absolutely. Yeah, Andor's ridiculous, man. It's just crazy. Mike Williams or Myers? I think I'd probably play Mike Williams there, but we'll know by tomorrow morning for sure. I think I'm leaning towards Mike Williams, though, at this moment. But again, this requires, like I was mentioning prior, right, to have that pivoting option. If you don't have that pivoting option, it's tough to do. Okay, let's see here. C. Mialis sends in a question, says, I traded Zeke and Peoples-Jones for Mike Williams. Thoughts? That's a W trade in my mind, for sure. Hector, we got to your question, right? We're going to play those 3. Yep, we're good to Hector. AV Motorcar says, picking Palmer, Campbell, Cooper, pick 2. Okay, cool. So if we're picking 2 out of those 3, we're picking Campbell and Cooper. As for Hurts and Moreau, we answered this a little bit before. We'll play Hurst, but the only reason we would ever play Foster Moreau in his stead was if, in fact, Devontae Adams is going to miss, which it looks like he's probably going to play, so we're going to play Hayden Hurst there. Thank you. Elisha sends in a question, says, full PPR flex. Let me move this so I can see it at a clearer rate. Elisha says, Gabriel Davis, Pittman / Tony. Which one? So if we're going to play 1, it's Tony. Second will be Gabe Davis. Third will be Pittman. Half PPR, choose 3. Patterson, Amari Cooper, Paris Campbell, Gibson. If we're picking 3 out of those options, I'm picking Patterson, Paris, and Gibson. Thank you. Joe R says, full PPR, Mixon, Pacheco, JJ, Olave, Komet, Singletary on the bench. Is Jamal, Rondell Moore, and Ayuk, Etienne, Walker. Who should I start? Full PPR, Mixon, Pacheco, JJ. Okay, so I mean, you got a pretty solid team. So if we're just figuring out Jamal, Rondell Moore, Ayuk, Etienne, okay, okay. I mean, at this point, so going into this week, theoretically, right? Mixon's RB1, Jamal Williams RB2, JJ wide receiver 1, Olave wide receiver 2, sorry, Ayuk wide receiver 2, and then we're probably playing Komet. Yeah, Komet is your current tight end. Your flex is going to be Rondell Moore. Yeah. Mixon, Pacheco, JJ, Ayuk. Sorry, my apologies. Redact that. Again from the top. Mixon and Jamal are your 2 running backs. JJ and Ayuk are your 2 wide receivers. Komet is your tight end. Rondell Moore is your flex. Thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that. Tomas sends in a question. Says, sup, Andrew? Need to win this week? Question below. Okay, let me see what I can find here in the chat. Tomas, where's your question? Tomas says, full PPR, pick 3. Hopkins, Olave, Amari Cooper, Tony. Hopkins for sure. Tony for sure. I'd probably go Olave over Amari Cooper. So Hopkins, Olave, Tony. Thank you. Your running backs are picks 2. Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Pierce. I probably played Jamal Williams and Pierce this week. Thank you. Standard scoring league, Zeke, Keenan Allen, or drop one, and pick up Pacheco or Devonta Smith. Ooh, okay, here's the thing, right, Ando? Considering you're in a position where you don't know if Keenan Allen is playing, you might have to just make that move where you're making a swap here. And you just pick up Devonta Smith and you play him. Because if you need it to win, and we can't guarantee that Keenan Allen is going to be available for Sunday night, I probably just pick up and the only reason I'm saying Devonta Smith is because you might need wide receiver depth in the future. If not, and you don't need wide receiver depth, I think probably Pacheco is the better play this week. Tua has a rough schedule. Would you look to move him? Yeah, look, I've seen his schedule. I think he plays what? Like Buffalo, New England, and then I don't remember the week 17 game. I know it's a tougher schedule. I really do believe that Tua is the real deal, guys. I mean, even if you guys want to say that it's the wide receivers that are making him better, I don't care. For fantasy purposes, all I'm seeing is that he's scoring points and they're not slowing down. So based on the amount and the volume of injuries that this Buffalo defense has sustained this year, it doesn't bother me. You go back a couple weeks, week 7, we saw Zach Wilson throw for 355 yards against New England secondary. I'm not too worried about Tua's fantasy playoff schedule. I'm good with him there, master. Pick Kadarius Toney, DJ Moore. Yeah, it's gonna be Kadarius Toney for me. Hey Andrew, wide receivers this week: Amari Cooper, Deebo Samuel, Tyler Boyd. At flex, should I swap any of these guys out for Miles Sanders or Brian Robinson? I mean, at this point, I would kind of like. I'd rather play Miles Sanders over Amari Cooper, and I'd rather play Brian Robinson over Deebo Samuel, and I would leave Boyd in. But that's the only difference. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would switch it up major, Connor. Trade. Okay, what's up? Trade Lenny and Deontay for London and Mike Evans. I mean, if you can afford to give away the running back because you don't need it, then you have Chubb, you have Connor, you have Mostert, wide receiver Mike Williams, McLaurin, Ayuk. Do you really need the London Mike Evans, though, in a half PPR? Because I'm thinking if you have Mike Williams, okay, theoretically on a weekly basis, you'll be starting Mike Williams, Mike Evans, and McLaurin, right? Those will be your primary 1, 2, 3. You won't really have to get London in return. So, I mean, I'm okay with it because you don't need Lenny. But if Lenny starts to come back and have himself better weeks, could be rough. I'm okay with the trade. I'm not totally against it, mainly because you don't have Rachaad White. So that's the only determining factor at this point. Patriots defense or Cowboys rest season? Probably Patriots. Hey, Andrew, had to hop off for a while. I don't know if you got my question. Let's see. Where are we at, Slim? This is a different Slim. Half PPR, DJ Moore, Isaiah, or Dalton Schultz? Yeah, this is the Dalton Schultz question, Slim. Where's the other Slim? Trade Pitts, Curtis Samuel for Hollywood and Rondale Moore. Yeah, I'd rather have Hollywood and Rondale Moore. Or Rondale Moore. Yeah, if I'm picking one, I'd rather have Hollywood. I don't need to have this, especially considering you have Schultz. So give me Hollywood rest of the way. That's fine by me. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. We're gonna get to these questions really quickly. Let's see what else we had here. All right. If you guys can, no more donos because I want to be able to wrap it up here and finish off the stream with a couple more of those chat questions, and then we'll close it out. Okay. Appreciate you guys. C. Miles says, should I trade away Pickens for Najee Harris and add running back depth? Yeah, I don't mind that. That's fine by me. Jason Rodriguez says, bench is Kirk, Tua, Walker, Chase. All right. That's a pretty good bench. Starting Daniel Jones, Stevenson, JJ, Freiermuth, D-Hop, Hollywood, DPJ, Patriots defense. Should I drop Hollywood for starter? Should I drop Hollywood for starter? What does that mean? I'm fine with Hollywood there. Again, considering everybody on your bench is either injured or on bye, you're fine. The only thing that you would switch off is if Hollywood isn't active by tomorrow or Monday, you'd have to pivot to another option. With that, at that point, you're fine. But I don't think we'll be in a horrible position there. We'll know by tomorrow morning as to what kind of decision you have to make. Otherwise, you're fine there, Jason. The roster's good to go. But I just don't understand. Should I drop Hollywood for starter? What does that mean by starter? Luis Castillo sends in a question. Half PPR, Ayuk, Terry McLaurin, or Tony. And flex, Gibson or Mitchell. Gibson is over Mitchell in my opinion. And if we're picking Ayuk, Terry, or Tony, it would go Terry, Tony, Ayuk in that order. AV Motorcar says Cooper over George Pickens and Paris Campbell. Sorry, Cooper over George Pickens, yes. Paris Campbell over Palmer, yes. So yes to both those. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead. Let me hop back into this chat. Let's answer a couple more questions. and let's close out today's stream, shall we? Follow-up question. Okay, so Zeke or Allen for Pacheco. I mean, at this point, it'd probably be Allen. All right, Angelo says, start. All right, sure. Should I trade Fields and Tony for Olave? No. I have Burrow as my... No. If you're going to trade away Fields, you better get top-tier talent in return. Otherwise, I don't believe it's worth it. Again, he's coming off of back-to-back weeks of 40 fantasy points. Unless I'm getting someone that is averaging 15 fantasy points per game, I don't want it. Because quite frankly, I'd rather play Fields over Burrow rest of the way here, you know? So I don't want to, you know, completely give it away for free and let somebody else use it against me in the fantasy playoffs, you know what I mean? Half PPR, Gus Edwards, Pacheco, or Justin Watson. It's probably going to be Pacheco this week here, Noah. Goff, Ramondre, Etienne, Foreman, Patterson, Swift, Jefferson, Hill, Tony, Pickens, Dulcich, Njoku, PPR. What's the move for the quarterback upgrade? At this position, I think the quarterback upgrade mainly resides in moving Foreman right now before this week. Otherwise, it's moving Patterson after a big week, like this week specifically, and trying to make an upgrade there. Because otherwise, I do not want to move Ramondre or Etienne. Swift is movable, but I think at this point, no one's really going to buy him off of you. So you probably are going to have to move one of these two options and try to go get a Herbert potentially if you can. Because that's the upgrade that I kind of want to make. Now, I mean, some of the Fields questions that we saw, like guys giving up Fields and Tony for Olave, if you can go give one of those running backs for Fields in your league and people are willing to do that, by all means, that's fantastic. In my league, I'll never see that happen. There's no way in one of my leagues that'll happen because people would not allow me to get Fields in that kind of a capacity. That would be incredible, but unfortunately, it's not possible for me. Pierce, Myers, Pollard, or Gabe Davis. I need to. Pollard is number 1. Number 2 is probably going to be Gabriel Davis, but yeah, that's probably going to be Gabriel Davis. Hey, Andrew, would you trade Tony for a 24 first-round pick in a dynasty league? Yes, I would. I'm always looking towards the future in a dynasty league, especially if you're in a position, Lance, where your team is predominantly in a, hey, I'm not really looking to win right now. I'm more in the rebuild process. I'm okay with that. A first-round pick is no joke, especially in 2024. I'll take that, my man. Let's see here. Let me scroll back up a little bit. Superflex League, Swift, Jamal Williams, or Kenny Pickett? Aha! So we want to bring out the tough question, shall we? I think Kenny Pickett's probably the play there. I think Kenny Pickett, what has he done in the last couple weeks here? Like 12, 13 points? Like he has more upside than that. Like we know that for sure. I just don't know if Jamal Williams can outscore him. I mean, it's definitely possible. Let me see here. Pickett, what have you done as of late, my man? So Pickett in the last 3 games in a standard scoring format, okay? When he played against Philadelphia was terrible. Against Miami was terrible. He's only been good against his last week against the New Orleans Saints where he had 19 fantasy points. Oh, yikes. Oh, my goodness. Why, oh, why has this happened to me? I think Jamal Williams is probably the safest play of the bunch. I like Pickett, but if it's going to be that volatile, it's probably not worth it. Follow up. Okay, yeah, we already did that one. Okay. 5-5, 10-team league. Highest total, but it's just bad luck. Yeah, look, that I've already mentioned it to people in the past. If you're playing in a league where you're just taking head-to-head record as the end-all be-all, it's probably not a high upside competitive league. If you guys did it in a sense to where like you have 12 teams, you play a head-to-head matchup. If you win, you get a W. But also, if you're in the top 6 of that scoring within that given week, you also get another W. That's probably the best way of going about it in terms of stability. Is Adams a must-start even banged up against Denver? Yeah, I mean, it's hard for us to sit him, especially when we're talking about playing him in regards to Tony. I mean, sorry, not Tony. Deontay, excuse me. Goodness gracious, all the names are filtering through. You have to play Adams. You just have to. Tiger says, should I trade DeAndre Hopkins for CD Lamb in a PPR? Yeah, I don't mind that. I'm fine with that. Good to go there. Batsport says, should I pick up Murray or Gordon? If you're playing in a full PPR, it's Gordon. If it's a standard or half, it's Murray. Astonishing Gamer says, good evening, sir. Mitchell or Pacheco in the half PPR this weekend? I'd play Pacheco this weekend. Thank you. Appreciate it. If Hollywood can't go, Ayuk, Gabriel Davis available. I don't want to lose Hollywood. Yeah, at this point, if Ayuk can't go, you play Gabe Davis this weekend. Swift or Gibson? It's going to be Gibson this week, J-Ram. Choose 3 wide receivers: Myers, Ayuk, Tony, Paul. Okay, so again, questions like this, I will have a full 100% indication by tomorrow morning. Okay, guys? I want to remind you, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be live streaming here on the channel. We'll have up-to-date rankings for top 36 running backs and wide receivers. Top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. We'll also be mentioning top 10 kickers and defenses throughout the entirety of tomorrow's live stream. The entire purpose of tomorrow's live stream is to make sure that all the relevant information that is out and available to the public is acted upon at a proper rate so that we can go ahead, adjust the values of players, give you guys my opinions on the matter, and potentially help you make the best overall decision. Because you don't have to follow my rankings, but if it can help you get to a decision which you like and which helps you win, that's the entire purpose of this channel, right? I can't guarantee you that every answer I give you is going to be accurate. But what I can guarantee you is that I do the research, I watch the film, and I put forth my best effort every single week to bring you guys the best possible, suggestions and videos that I can. I do appreciate you guys spending time with me today. That's pretty much where we're going to end it. I don't want my voice to potentially get completely torched after talking 2 hours and 20 minutes straight. If you guys sent in any questions, again, and I wasn't able to get to them, I know there was a couple donations that we're going to get with right here. We're going to answer them, but if you send in a regular question, we're unable to get there, hopefully tomorrow morning, the questions by proxy will answer them, and or the rankings on screen will help you out. If those don't help, there's also Patreon, where I'll have up-to-date rankings posted by tomorrow morning for all positions, half PPR, full PPR, along with top flex players. So you don't even have to ask any questions. You don't have to scramble. Patreon's the way, down in the description. We weren't able to get to any prize pick potential entries to make. We'll do that tomorrow morning. It's not a big deal. We'll have those available. So if you guys are interested, again, you guys can check them out. Use promo code Andrew today. And when you do so, you'll be given a first-time deposit match that is immediately doubled. So if you deposit 20, you'll get an additional 20 of in-game. You deposit 50, you'll be given an additional 50. You can go ahead and make some entries. In the video that you guys can see literally right here, okay, bottom right, there is a prize pick section in which I have literally one of the, in my opinion, it is a perfect 3-leg entry for this weekend. Dalton Schultz, more on receiving yards, 41.5. It's also including with, goodness gracious, why am I forgetting? Brian Robinson, more on his rushing yards. I think it's a 63.5. And then there was another player that I'm forgetting that's eluding me. Paris Campbell, 37.5 receiving yards. We're going more on that as well. Those 3 players, boom, 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 automatic play for this weekend. Check that out. Use promo code Andrew. Thank you very much. Couple questions before we leave. Jeffrey said Sutton, Mike Williams, Pollard. Need 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. I'm playing Mike Williams and I'm playing Pollard. That is the play. Thank you very much. As for Jorge Perez, before we leave today. Jorge, thank you very much. Let me go ahead and catch up here. Jorge Perez. Jorge says, just checking in, full PPR. I have the Patriots defense. Good to start this week. Yes. Did you go over rankings for the position? If so, do you have a timestamp? I'll go ahead and I'll just mention top 7 defenses as of this week once more. It'll be readjusted potentially tomorrow morning, but I doubt it. I think the top 7 is a pretty solid number of teams to where I'm not really going to adjust those guys. Patriots number 1, Baltimore number 2, New York Jets number 3, Buffalo Bills number 4, Philadelphia Eagles number 5, San Francisco 49ers number 6, Washington Commanders number 7. That is what I have as of thus far. I got to readjust the bottom half of the top 12, and then we're good to go. Thank you. Okay, guys. I appreciate y'all. Dexter in the chat was asking Foreman or Carter. We're probably just going to play Foreman there. If you guys could do me a favor before y'all leave, click the like button down below. Haas says, damn, you missed me. Okay, Haas, let's see where you at, my man. Haas, I got you. Keenan Allen or Rondale Moore. Considering you have the ability to pivot, okay? Because you won't, okay, this is good. Let's just use this as an example, guys. So Haas has Rondale Moore and he has Keenan Allen. Considering he has the Keenan Allen playoff Monday night, again, we're sketchy about it because we don't know exactly whether he's going to play. Great. And then we also have Rondale Moore who plays on Sunday night. So if in fact we get to Sunday night and there's maybe some sort of information by tomorrow afternoon that we get a 100% indication that Keenan Allen's going to play, then sure, we'll pivot there. But in this current position, because we don't know if Keenan Allen's going to play on Monday night, sorry, it's the other way around. I'm an idiot. Apologies. Keenan Allen plays on Sunday night. Rondale Moore plays on Monday night. So if we get to Sunday night and Keenan Allen does not play, great. You bench him and then you play Rondale Moore on Monday night. That's the play. My apologies. You have the pivot option. I just completely forgot the schedule as to who played on what date. So again, if you get to Sunday night and Keenan Allen is available, I would play him. If he's not, you pivot to Rondale Moore on Monday night. Thank you. My apologies. that's pretty much it, right? Man, Joe, why are you sending in more questions, man? Joe, okay, Joe R sent in another dono, said, full PPR, DPJ, Jamal Williams, Rondell Moore, Pierce, Paris. In a full PPR, I'm playing Paris Campbell tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, a couple more questions, guys. Couple more questions, okay? I want to be here all day. I want to answer questions all day. But unfortunately, time constraints. I have other commitments that I have made that I have to attend to. So we're going to be here for a couple more. Team is Herbert, Kamara, JT, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, Swift, Kittle, Brian Robinson. Any trades that you could potentially make? The only trade that I could theoretically look at is potentially moving Kamara for a guy like, and trying to get an upgraded running back. Like if I can go get an ETN, I'd love to do that for the fantasy playoffs. Otherwise, Kamara's schedule is advantageous enough to where we can keep him. Otherwise, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, it's going to be tough to upgrade upon that. Unless you're moving Kittle and getting Andrews or, again, Kelsey, you're not making any upgrades there. Again, this current team is one of those squads in a 10-team league where unless you're giving away big pieces like Devontae Adams, JT, to make a huge move, nothing is really going to be a significant shift there. Campbell or Myers? Campbell. Keenan Allen is likely to play. I'm hoping so. And if he is, I'd play him. Cordero or Jamal? I think I'm probably playing Cordero there, most likely. Keenan Allen or Zeke in a standard scoring format? I don't like either of them. To be honest. Lamar or Fields rest season? I have Fields. Should I flex Keenan Allen, Isaiah Pacheco, Gus Edwards, or Donovan Peoples-Jones? Assuming it's a half PPR or full PPR, it's probably Keenan Allen. So to answer this question, it's probably Keenan Allen. But again, considering it's a standard league ando, it's tough, man. It really is tough. Jeffrey, I'm pretty sure I answered your question that you sent in, but if you didn't hear it, Pollard and Mike Williams are the way to go there. He said start Fields over Jackson. Y'all, yes. Again, guys, I did post a video earlier this week. It has Justin Fields on the thumbnail of it. It looks a little bit like this. Let me go ahead and do this for y'all, just so we're all on the same page. Where art thou? It looks a little bit like this on the bottom right. This is what it looks like. It has quarterback and kicker tight end rankings for week 11. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you can. Okay, guys, that's it. I got to call it. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. We're going to cue the music. Thank you for those of you who sent in donos. Thank you for those of you who clicked the like button. Thank you for those of you who just joined us, listened, asked questions, helped each other in the chat. I do appreciate you guys continuing to help each other in the community. Outside of that, tomorrow morning, again, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we will be here, ready to go with updated rankings on screen for all primary positions. And until then, I appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.